We are live. We are live. We are live. Guys, we got a very special person joining us tonight. And let me tell you, this guy has I've watched several of his videos and he got that info, that strong info. And his technique is so much like mine. First of all, hello to everyone. And let's get these folks added in. Let's get everybody added in. Everybody know LBG. Everybody know Kim. And check this dude out, Mr. Kevin Rogers.
Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Hello, how are you guys? Hello.
Oh, pretty good. Pretty
We're
good.
great. Man, thank you for coming on the show. And like I was saying a while ago, man, I've watched so many of your videos, and the technique that you use is man, it's just on point.
Yeah, something about that crappie thump it's addicting for sure. And there's no way to do that unless that rod's in your hand. And that's how I've always fished. Yeah, like having that jigging pole in my hand.
That's right.
That thump will wake you up in the middle of the night. It will. Yeah.
It will.
That's what's up.
It will wake you up. That's what's up.
So fill us in a little bit on what you got going for the folks that don't know. I mean, I know everybody knows who you are, but tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Rogers. For 30 years, I toured around the country with my father as my partner fishing these crappie tournaments. And to be honest, the crappie tournaments were just an excuse to go fish crappie lakes we would never go fish. That's all that was. That's the truth. Sure. I didn't have any money to go do this, so my dad was my sponsor. Right, he paid my way for a long time. I was lucky at the end of our adventure there. I turned it around and I started paying. I got to pay him back a little bit because it is expensive. But for 30 years, it's very. For 30 years, we toured around the country doing it, and we won 34 crappie tournaments in 5 different states over those years, and 90% of those were one pole, one jig, no minnow, just straight dipping, doodle socking, jig, and that's how we would fish. That was prior to live scope. That was our claim to fame. Prior to live scope, we would fish extremely fast, and that's what we did forever. We would run and gun to the visible standing timber you can see, and we'd drop those big heavy jigs down those trees and wait for a big crappie to hit. That's how we got our name. And last year, my father retired from tournament crappie fishing. He gave it up. 78 years old. How dare he? I'm pretty selfish, right? To retire from tournament crappie fishing. That doesn't mean he quit crappie fishing. He crappie fished today in this wind and this nasty weather. He still crappie fishes 5 days a week. It was the driving 8 hours and fishing sunlight to dark that you got to do in the tournaments to be competitive. It's a lot of work for guys who've done it, guys who know. It is a lot of work. Anything that is competitive, if you don't work hard at it, you're not going to be successful. So we did. And it just wore him out. He got done, and I fished a couple by myself and with another partner, and it wasn't the same. I didn't want to do it without him. So I'm never going to quit crappie fishing ever. I'll do it till I die. But the tournament side, I'm a little bit done. Live scope kind of ruined it for him a little bit. Live scope's the greatest technology ever, by the way.
I totally agree.
Yes, it is.
It's incredible, but for 2 people,
it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't our deal. He wasn't going to stand there at 78 years old and watch me catch a crappie. You know, it's not fair. I'm not fair to him. And only one guy can catch. I mean, there's 2 guys that sit in the front and side by side, and they take turns. And everybody goes to catch a crappie. That's why you go, right? So why watch your partner catch a fish? That's what you want to do. So that's my history. I've been fortunate enough through my years for 15 years, I was sponsored by Bobby Garland, and I got to create and come up with new baits and colors for Bobby Garland forever. About 3 or 4 years ago, Bobby Garland sold out to Pradco, and when they did that, I left Bobby Garland and started my own line of lures and baits through Jinko Fishing. So that brings us where we are today. So yeah,
awesome.
It's been an amazing career in crappie fishing for me, for sure. I've learned a bunch. I've been to all kinds of different lakes, and the best part is the people you meet who fish. They're all amazing people. That has been my hands down my favorite part of fishing is the people you meet along the way.
Neat. That's right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Sure.
Cool.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I've been using your 13 footer a lot here lately. Just about every trip I got it in my hand. How did you come up with that rod?
Um, I started with the 10 footer is how I started. So when I first came out with my pole, you got to realize live scope wasn't a thing yet. No, we didn't even know the crappie were this spooky. We had no
Right,
idea,
exactly.
right? I don't know how we ever caught a crappie before live scope, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
But we did. We caught a bunch of them. I know that.
Yep.
I came up with a pole that I liked, and everybody likes a little something a little different, right? Everybody likes a little bit stiffer. A lot of people say my pole is a little too flimsy. If you've ever watched my videos, I have some videos on YouTube of me setting the hook. I gotta have a flimsy tip because I set the hook with such violence. If I don't, I will rip the hook out of every crappie snap. So I need a little play on the tip, but still stiff enough to swing them in the boat. One thing I did that no one else has done, I like a smaller diameter handle. Like when I jig fish, that handle's right here on the forearm. I don't like that big broom pole so I created a little bit thinner than everyone else's. It's just different. It's a different rod. It took me, I say it's 30 years in the making because it's finally the pole I've wanted for years and years. One go all the way back to my first crappie tournament I ever won. Believe it or not, I'm old. I am old. I don't look that old. I know I don't. But I am.
We all old.
Yeah, my first crappie tournament, the jigging pole wasn't even on the market. Now, listen to what I'm saying. The jigging pole hadn't became a thing yet, right? It hadn't taken off. We were using fly rods to crappie fish with. Yeah, we were using 2-piece 9-foot fly rods to dip with. And then the very next year, guys started figuring out BnM came out with one, and it started exploding. So, I've used them all. I got a whole shop full of every rod there is, and Jinko let me come up with this rod that I actually like, and to be honest, I don't use a 13-footer. I don't personally use my 13-footer because it's too heavy for me. I don't like that weight. I like a lightweight rod. I mean, I use it at times when they're real spooky, but I like the 11-footer. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Now there's a bait cast reel that you've been using.
Yeah.
What brand reel is that?
It's actually a Bass Pro Shop.
Bass Pro.
Yeah, it's Bass Pro Shop. It's $19.99, and it's just a little bitty mini bait cast reel. And the reason I use that is when I'm in less than 15 foot of water, I'm never casting. I'm using my hands to fish with every time. Right? I'm just picking that jig up and dropping it, picking up and dropping it. Because when I set the hook, I just use my free hand to pull them in the boat. So there's no need for. I just like lightweight. I don't know why. I just like lightweight all day long. Don't get fatigued. That's what I've always done. So it's very. I mean, it's high tech cane pole fishing at its finest.
Right.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
That's all
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm doodle socking. It could be a piece of bamboo for all that. I mean, that's all it is. Right? Just so
with a reel on the end of it.
That's it. I mean, it's got $6,000 electronic. I could be using a bamboo stick.
That's awesome.
Now, down in Texas this winter, when I go down there, there's no secret. I love Lake of the Pines. I think Lake of the Pines is in Texas, it's probably one of the best wintertime crappie lakes I've ever seen. And the reason is I like fish that are on structure, that stick to pieces of cover. Those ones that are out there wandering, they're a little harder to catch. I mean, everyone knows those are the ones you got to catch now, right? But so for some reason in Texas, those fish will live. They'll put their nose right on the tree, and I like that. Down there, they get real deep, and I'll switch over to spinning reel. So when I set the hook, you got to actually reel a couple of times to get them in the boat. So it depends on what water, depth water I'm in, what reel I use. If that makes sense. If that makes sense, I hope it does.
It does.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I like that tip that you gave about putting that bait caster on backwards.
I do that. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
It's fine details like that make make your trip a lot better, though.
Yeah, and the reason I do that, I turn the bait caster upside down and backwards, and what it does, it shoots the handle over to the other side.
The other side, yeah.
So when I drop, because you're always dropping your line down to the next crew, the next fish, it doesn't catch the handle. And that's why I do it. I actually put it upside down backwards. So you got to reel it in backwards. It's kind of weird, but like just all that reel is doing is just holding the line. That's all.
A line holder.
That's all it's doing.
That's all it's doing. Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Yeah, because when I switch over and I fish deep, I still like to reel with my left hand. When I drop that line, it's always hanging around the reel, and I'm messing with the reel. Next thing you know, I got a crappie on, right? So it's just I like having that reel out of the way.
That's right.
Yep.
Now, this Larry Connor put up a question here that I wanted to talk to you about also, and I know you love using those big baits, and I do too.
Yes.
But I like that you let the people know that it's not your decision when you get out there. You gotta let those fish tell you.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not up to us at all, right? If it's up to me, I'd never throw anything less than a quarter ounce.
Right, exactly.
There'd be days I wouldn't catch any crappie either, right?
Right.
And that's so weird. It's weird. Live scope now has taught us. Everyone thinks that a crappie won't hit a big bait anymore because of live scope. And what they're saying is, now that we see the fish, they're so spooky. They're spookier than we ever thought, which is weird. I mean, you can see fish get spooked by your boat dropping down your face too fast. Where before we didn't see that. So I was always dropping those big baits. What we were doing is we were just getting them to react. But there are still times, like right in 30 days from now, November, around that Thanksgiving time, those fish are going to start feeding big time, right? Because winter's coming, they know they got to eat. And it still amazes me that people don't crappie fish in the winter. That blows my doors off. That's
the best time to fish.
It's way better than the spawn, by the way.
Exactly.
By far.
It is.
Yeah, catching to the bank with a road runner and seeing the court going in, that's all fun, but man, you catch a lot of crappie in the winter. And there's a time in the winter, in the early winter, when they're really feeding, like in Texas, they will still eat those big plastic baits.
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a lot more peaceful because you don't have the jet skis and wake boats out.
Oh, there's nobody there but other crappie fish.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the guys you're gonna see. And crappie fish, you'll know when it's winter time. You see those boats, you know what those guys are doing. No matter if you're in Kansas, the Mississippi, it doesn't matter. They're crappie fish. You get some of those duck hunters. You see those duck boats.
Duck hunters, you see the duck hunters,
Yeah,
you get your diehard crappie.
I run across them all the time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I'm not for sure if you watched any of the lives. I'm gonna introduce you to the guys that's usually on here all the time. We got LBG right here at the top.
Yes, sir.
Kim Barnett with Cropper Stopper Jigs.
Yeah, I know Kim. We've met. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And then we got Steve with Limits Tackle. I think you know him.
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah.
Hello.
How you doing, Kevin?
Yep. Good.
Yeah. I just wrapped one of your rods away and sent it to Oklahoma today.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's a Genco dealer also.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Cool, yeah, I watch the videos too. You got some good videos out there.
And you know, it's being having a full-time job, and I've got 7 kids. You'll probably see them run back and forth here, getting ready for bed. It is so I got a full-time job. I own a construction company, so I get to come and go as I please, but I still got to be responsible enough to go to work sometimes. But it's so. And I'm 50 this year, and editing those videos is the hardest thing for me to do. You believe it? And you know what I'm talking about if you make videos.
Exactly.
It takes time.
It's time consuming.
It's not
very time consuming.
I would much rather set the hook and make a YouTube video, but I do like the teaching part of it. If someone does get something out of it, that's gratifying. And you guys know that. You guys have some great videos. And you know what I'm talking about. So when someone actually gets something out of it, and you remove all the hatred part of YouTube, it's a really good tool. I mean, anytime something breaks in my house, I go to YouTube to fix the dishwasher, the water, whatever. I mean, it's definitely a learning tool. And hopefully people have learned a bunch. I used to do a ton of seminars back in the day, and I know a lot of people learn from those too. And the good thing about all of us fishermen, we all fish just a little bit different. You can pick something up from everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
I was telling them about Crappie University,
Yeah, Kim, you were there. Yeah, with over in Kansas. Yep.
Johnson County, yeah.
Yep. Do they still have the crappie universities? They still doing those?
No, they
I
haven't
don't
done
think
it.
they are. Yeah, I haven't seen them.
No.
I haven't seen them. But yeah, crappie fishing has. I mean, this live scope, guys. It's I
it's a
don't know what else to
beast.
say about it. I mean, it absolutely wiped slow trolling off the planet. I mean, for 20 years, I'd go to Grenada, Mississippi, and if you weren't slow trolling, you weren't catching fish. You could go jig every tree in that lake, you weren't going to catch a crappie unless you got lucky. Every tournament was dominated by slow trolling down there in Grenada, and now it's in the tournament side. Now I'm talking about the tournaments, not just fun fish. You go troll all you want, so catch fish, just like you can anything. But to compete in crappie tournament, it's all live scope. It's incredible. Right. Yeah.
Tell us how it changed your way of fishing, your approach.
It didn't. So I was already the one pole guy, right? So that didn't bother me. I actually liked it, not having to carry 8 rods and all that stuff. It eliminated my dad, which is weird. So I took one of the best crappie fishermen on planet Earth, which is my father. He is really good at crappie fishing, and I just eliminated him because I'm trying to fish for one fish, and so it actually hurt me. I mean, I could have him fish, but you guys know you're in the boat trying to control and trying to get somebody else on the fish. It's not that easy. So it hurt us big time. I fished American Crappie Trail Classic by myself with live scope, and I took second. And if he would have been in a boat, and this sounds crazy, we probably would have took way farther down the line because I'd have been worried about him and not the fish. So these guys that are doing it with 2 people, I mean, there's stories of guys, these guys that are still fishing these things that are taking good weight. There's guys that are just sitting in the boat with a dip net all day.
Yeah, you got to be the net man.
I'm not doing that. I'm not
I do that. Hey, you like me? I can't do it.
Somebody got net.
I came to fish. I came to fish, not net no net.
It's tough, man.
Set the hook. I am not using no dip net.
Exactly.
And that's what they're doing. Or there's a guy sitting there and one of them will have one bait on, and another guy will have a 30-second off hair jig, and this will guy have a plastic on. They put different baits in his face. It's a different game. And it also hurt me. I mean, I'll be 50 this year, and it was hard for me to figure out the technology compared to a young Matthew Rogers or one of these kids that are in their 20s. I mean, it took me a while. I'm old. Technology's hard.
Right? We all are.
Yeah. So, I mean, it changed the sport forever. And what I mean by that, the greatest tournament crappie fisherman of all time is Captain Coleman. I mean, hands down, they're the greatest tournament crappie fisherman ever. And then eventually live scope, they may never win a tournament again now, right? Because all that knowledge and all that hard work they've done pre-live scope, it just went away. It just went away overnight because you can now see every single crappie in the lake. It's crazy. It's crazy. I didn't realize when it first came out, I didn't even realize how powerful it really was. It's incredible. So.
It's done put a lot of people out on the water not buying boats to go to live scope who never fish with crappie right now.
Yeah, and they can go out and be successful. Yeah, if they can learn that technology and actually believe. That was what's hard for me at first, is actually believing what I was seeing on the screen. If you guys know what I'm saying, I'd say like, well, surely that's not a crappie, and boom, it's a 2-pound crappie. Like, holy no! I do believe there are crappie being caught now that it would never been caught before. So I've been doing this for 30 years all over the country, and I'll give you an example. Pre-live scope, for 27 years, I had one legitimate 3-pound crappie to my name, like weighed in at a tournament, legitimate 3-pound crappie. After live scope, I'm on number 15.
Wow.
Those fish aren't supposed to get caught.
Right. Them the breeders.
Right.
Keep the population going.
Yeah.
We did.
I threw them all back, which is hard to do. But, I mean, think about that. For 27 years, I caught one 3-pound crappie. In the last 3 years, I've caught 14. That's because you could just see them blowing out there. And I'm like, well, that's got to be a carp, right? Yeah. No, that's a 3-pound crappie.
All right. Yeah. And 2D, you can't see them roaming. We didn't realize they was roaming. Just out in open water.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, that's what I was always up around the timber or the brush or laid out or bridge pier or The crappie live around the cover, right? These giant things are just out there like those big ones like that. A lot of them never go to the cover. They're just out there running.
Yeah.
They're like almost like white bass. They're just out there on their own.
Yeah.
They're nomads. They're out there by themselves for sure. So, yeah.
That's right.
I'll tell you now that live scope, it shows those big old. I don't know if you have Gasper freshwater drum up there.
Yeah.
Man, I'll run up on one and I know that's a 2.5, 3 pound crappie and set the hook and yeah, big time.
Yeah, they will fool you for sure.
Yeah. What units are you running?
I'm using those big ones. I'm spoiled. I use the biggest one I get. I got the 86-16 up front that I'm looking at. So
nice.
16-inch green, and I got that beat down where I crank it up and put it right in the face. It's ridiculous. So, and what's funny is, and you guys know this too. There's still times they don't bite. They still don't bite. You can see them and they still don't bite.
That's what makes it frustrating.
Y'all swim up and look at that jig and turn right back and go right back to the brush pile.
Turn around. Yeah, when I first go out, okay, you can tell I'm pretty hyper. I'm a hyper guy. I always have been. So when I first go out, I'm so wound up. The jig's falling too fast and I start spooking them. I got to slow down. You have to ease that jig down to their nose. It's crazy. Here's something that I saw last time I was out, and I've noticed it more and more. And this is going to sound ridiculous, and I've done this. And anybody who has the different species in their lake, I'm telling you, in the shallow water, when they're shallow at Truman Lake, my home lake's Truman Lake here in Missouri, and they live shallow year round. And last time I went, they were in 7 to 8 foot of water, so pretty shallow water. I could tell, and this sounds ridiculous, and I know it's going to sound ridiculous, but I know other guys can do it. I can tell a black species from a white species crappie on the live scope.
Wow.
Really?
Yes. In the shallow, the black ones, the black species crappie, it was putting off a bigger glow, almost like a little sparkle. I don't know if it's the way the light penetrated its scales. And I tell my guy I was with, I got it on YouTube. I need to post it on. I have a video I need to post on. I said that is a black crappie. That's a black species, and I caught it in the black species. He's like, "You're making this up." And I did it 10 times in a row. Where I said that's a white species crappie because it was just the way the light was hitting their
scales.
I guess.
Scales.
Crazy.
Got to be. Yeah.
I was dialed in that day. The next time I go, I probably won't even see a crappie. But I had him so dialed in, I could tell the species of crappie on the unit, and I could definitely tell the nose from the tail. Right, and that sounds silly, and that's if you do it enough, you'll know. These guides, they'll go out every day. They're telling the nose from the tail of these crappie. So it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy for sure.
Man, cool. What's your favorite color?
What's that?
What's your favorite color bait?
Oh man, I always say it's the last one I caught a crappie on. Right. I am notorious and always have been and search out dirty water, and that blows a lot of people away. I honestly believe the bigger crappie live in the dirtier, dingy water in every reservoir. That's what I say.
Exactly, you're right.
It's true.
There's some lakes where it's different. D'Arbonne, Louisiana's kind of different because it's more the rivers in there get too much water. The crappie don't live up there. But for 30 years, what we would do, our tip was, and a lot of guys, Ronnie Kevin did this, David Cox did this, Wally Marshall did this. This is where we would start 15 years ago. We would take the river, the main river that fed the lake. And as soon as that thing spread out in that first flat, that's where every tournament guy would start back in the day. We would start there and work our way towards the dam. That's where, and 90% of the time, those tournaments were won as far away from the dam that you could get. And that's where we would all start. Yeah, it didn't matter if you were in Kansas, Iowa, it didn't matter. The water is more fertile up there because the water's running in, flowing in, so you got all that water that's fertile, the bait's active, and the crappie were just bigger up there. And that's still today, that still holds true, don't get me wrong. Live scope tells you a lot, but my home lake at Truman Lake, it's a giant reservoir. There's been thousands of crappie tournaments on that lake. None of them have ever been won down by the dam. and it's never
Wow.
gonna be, gonna be, because the crappie aren't as big as the crappie that are up where that river opens up into the lake. Where that river comes out and opens up to the lake, that big, massive, flat area, that's where giant crappie live. Not every lake in the country, but 90% of them. So that's a tip. If you want to catch a giant crappie in your home lake and you got a certain area you go to every time, try going up in that. A lot of people go up there and it's muddy, right? They go, they don't like the watercolor. And I'll see the muddy and I go, yeah, this is what we're going to fish. Yes. And if I can see my jig that far down, I'm probably moving to where I can see my jig that far down. That's how I've always been. So the question was color. The color for me has always been those bright colors, right? And I've always took the lead heads. I never used an unpainted lead head in the muddy water. I always thought the color of the lead head was helping me catch fish, whether it was or not. And I'd always have a different colored lead head to the body of my bait, right? So you got the body of your bait and your tail. And I'd always do a tricolor just to try to give it a different contrast or a different look for those crappie. And that's just what I did forever. Like black and pink with a chartreuse head was one of my favorite. Blue and chartreuse was also a favorite, of course. I like blue and chartreuse, black and chartreuse, those lights out colors. And from the Bobby Girl days for sure. Those bright colors, crappie have got to see it before they can hit it, I believe. So
I'm a high contrast man.
Yeah,
I like fishing with high contrast baits.
And what's funny is we've seen in the summertime now when it's so tough and brutal in a lot of places, after these 30-second out hair jigs is just playing so big because those crappie are so spooky from the large baits. And what is happening? Those big 1/4-ounce heads and 3-inch baits, when they come in the water, they're actually the size of them. They're pushing the water, so the fish can feel that bait coming through the water. It's spooking the fish, and that's what's happening. When they're real spooky, they're not biting. Those big baits don't work because the pure volume of water they're pushing is scaring those crappie. That's where that little 30-second ounce comes in. Yeah, we figured that out pretty quick in the whole live scope world. Yeah. So I'd much rather use a 1/4-ounce head tied directly to 15-pound braid all day long and just set it as far as I could. That's my favorite way to fish.
Me too.
15-pound braid, 1/4-ounce head, 3-inch afterburner is the bait I come out with for Bobby or for G. That's how long I did Bobby for G-Club, and just drop it and just set my hook as hard as I can. That's my favorite way to fish.
Okay. What's the length of that bait?
It's like 2 3/4, 2.5. Yeah, and it's a plastic bait. And it still works. Big baits still work for crappie. There's times for sure. Yeah. And then, like I said, you'll know the little crappie will tell you what they're gonna hit that day. And I'm gonna give them the biggest bait, and then I'll start with the biggest bait, and then work my way all the way down if I have to.
So we got a question here. I know you fish a lot of lakes that you may not find the stained water in. So if you got on a lake that you couldn't find stained water, would you just fish deeper in the clear water?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. You would have to go deeper. They're not going to be shallow for sure. And like I said, Lake of the Pines is one of my favorite wintertime lakes. And it's not dirty, but it's like almost a tea colored lake, if that makes sense. It's not dirty, but it's a weird stained blackish water, if you will.
Yeah,
and they live deep there, so. I would just go deeper, and those fish are going to tell you. The live club's going to tell you for sure. And something that became real popular too with the live scope and the clear water. If you have the clear water, I love straight braid, and I won't go crappie fishing without braid. There's just nothing that replaces it. I mean, that non-stretch, that thump, right? That's why I love crappie fishing. I love eating crappie. Who doesn't, right? But I love the thump more than I do love filleting. I'd rather catch one than fillet one. So
that's right.
But in that clear water, you can still use that braid and tie the fluorocarbon leader on to the braid. That became real popular the last 3 years. The fluorocarbon leader. So I use that. When it's real tough, when you got to downsize to the 30-second, and I'll put the big. The bullet weight above it, you guys have seen that. So, we do that when it gets real tough. But I'd rather just use straight braid from a Palomar knot to a 1/4-ounce head. That's the way I like to fish. That's how I'm going to start every time for sure.
For sure. I got you.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, those negative bites and light bites are hard to detect if you got that bullet weight up there.
It
So
is.
I know exactly what you're saying by
Yeah.
you prefer straight to the jig. To me, if I'm fishing deeper, I know you probably do the same thing too. The deeper I fish, the heavier I try to use,
Absolutely.
and I prefer that be on the jig head.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that even like lakes in the wintertime that I go to, every crappie in the lake is 21 foot down. Every crappie is living at 21 foot down. And there's times I don't want that big bait, but if you have a little bitty bait, let's just say you have a 32nd ounce, you imagine dropping 21 feet with a 32nd ounce lead head. It's going to take you a long time to get down there, right?
Yeah.
And those crappie aren't from the surface to 20 feet. That whole 20 foot is worthless. There's no crappie there. So having that bigger weight or that bullet weight to get you down there faster is going to allow you to catch more fish. And some people don't understand that. You got to get down to that fish to get the bite.
That's right.
That first, that 0 to 20 is negative. There's nothing there. So get past that as fast as you can and get down where the fish are. It's always been my theory. Yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
What braid do you use?
Yeah, for years I used a braid. They don't even make it anymore. I used spider wire and Visa braid, and they quit making that. So I started using a Suffix. It's like an 832, I believe is the name of it. Yellow.
Yeah.
I like the colored line. Because we've all pitched in there and the line stopped and set the hook. We've all done that. So I do like the bright yellow line or the green line for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, even though I don't fish the clear waters, I usually always tie a leader on, but I got to have braid. And I totally agree with you on that because that shock from when that crappie thumps it, man, it just goes through you.
Are you using braid to mono or braid to fluorocarbon or both?
Braid to mono.
Braid to mono.
Braid to mono. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know is how to tie those lines together. And that's something YouTube will teach you, right? If it's an FG knot or a double uni knot, I had to learn that as well because I've never done it. So there's a lot of good knots out there to do that with.
Yeah,
so
I like the Albright.
Albright, that's a popular one. Yeah, but you need to learn how to do that because there is time that braid is just too much for those crappie and it will scare them.
Right.
For sure.
Exactly.
I do believe that. Yeah, there's times where it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's times that it doesn't matter what you're saying they're going to bite. Those are the fun days, but when they're not biting, that's the stuff you need to do. That monofilament is guaranteed it's allowing you to get more bites for sure.
Without a doubt.
Sure.
Without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know I watched your video where you talked about your top 10 crappie lakes.
Oh yeah, I made a lot of people mad with that.
Really?
Well, all the California people are mad, right out of the chute.
Wow.
They're mad. And I said I can't talk about a lake I've never been to, right? I can't.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there might have been a couple that I didn't put on the list on purpose.
Okay.
I thought there was one in particular in the state of Kansas I didn't put on the list, and Kim probably knows what I'm talking about. And I didn't put it on there.
Yeah.
It is little bitty, and it cannot take the pressure. And I just didn't put it on there. I wasn't going to do it. So
yeah.
You
got to keep some things to yourself, though.
You have to. And this lake, there's a lake in Kansas that is extremely special. I don't know why it's so special, but it has got giant crappie in it, and I couldn't do it. 10 boats would ruin it. That's how small it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that small. It's just, it's a little bitty thing. It just can't.
Like I say, if you put all your secrets out there, everybody be on your spot every day. You can't go. Everybody, I don't mind everybody catching fish, but if they out there every day, they ain't got nothing else to do. They following you fishing, catching fish.
Right.
Take your kids with other fishing. You can't catch nothing. That's a problem.
But that little lake that I didn't put on the list, it probably doesn't belong in the top 10 because it's hard. It's tough to catch them. Unlike a Lake Fork, where Lake Fork can produce crappie every day, day in, day out, and they're just going to keep reproducing. I mean, it's probably a better lake because I've gone to this lake I'm talking about and not caught them. So it can be very difficult. I think Grenada can be very difficult. That's why I didn't list it as number one. I've had horrible days at Grenada. Like I spent a whole week at Grenada and caught 3 crappie in my life. And took a top 10 in a turn and 3 fish got me a top 10 in a classic at Grenada. And people forget about that. They forget about how tough it can be there. And there can be waves 5 foot tall where I've seen boats capsize. And that's not a top 10 crappie lake. I mean, it's not the number 1 crappie lake in the world.
Right.
So I believe I put Lake Fork is number 1, I believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That lake just constantly produces good fish year after year.
Something that, being from Missouri, my first trip to Lake Fork, what blew me away wasn't necessarily the size, it was the way the crappie hit the jig. I mean, they hit it. Something about Texas, and I live 8 hours from Texas, and I wish I lived in Texas just so I could crappie fish there. the crappie in Texas hit it so hard and so vicious. I can't explain it to someone who hasn't caught a Texas crappie. And if you guys have only lived in Texas and only caught crappie in Texas, you're spoiled rotten. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're real spoiled. So if you catch a crappie, and this sounds crazy because you think every fish would hit the same. I've been all over the country now, and there's crappie in Iowa are not going to hit like a crappie in Texas. They're just not going to do it. They don't have. I don't know if it's because them crappie are scared all those 10-pound bastards are trying to eat them. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Lake Fork and Lake of the Pines and Palestine, those crappie, I don't know what it is. They hit harder than anywhere in the country. I do believe that. I know it to be true because I've tried to catch them all over the country. And that's why they're the best lakes to me. And it doesn't matter. Lake Fork, you can catch them from the dam up to the river, in brush piles, on timber, on bridge pilings. It doesn't matter. It just is a great crappie lake. I hope everyone gets to fish it someday when it's really, really good because it's that impressive to me.
I agree.
Now I'm from Louisiana. Now they hit hard in Louisiana. Now they hit hard up that way too.
Yep. Yeah.
So we got a question. We got a question from a viewer here that want to know the test pound fluoro that you use.
I use 8 pound, and I know I should be using smaller, but I'm getting sold. My eyes are bad, and anything less than that, I can't see it. I already have readers in the boat.
Join the club.
So I can see my line, and I always see Kim wearing his readers when he's tying his jigs up on the line. So you guys know what I'm talking about. But I just, in that dirty water, I don't feel like I need 4-pound line. It's not that clear water that I'm fishing. So I use 8-pound fluorocarbon. But if you're in really clear water, I can see where 4-pound. I've trout fished before. I get 2-pound line catches more trout than 4-pound line. But I'm not trying to catch a trout in clear water. I'm fishing dirty Lake Fork and Lake of the Pines and Millwood, Arkansas, and Truman Lake and all the lakes that's got dingy water, so I can get away with that 8-pound fluorocarbon.
Cool.
So, but I never fish it by itself. I always have braid on first. Always. The braid is, to me, you just can't replace it for crappie fishing.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is something else I want to talk to you too, because I rarely see you ever fish open water. Is that something that you do, or?
Yeah, I do. It's on purpose, because when you see me fishing, I'm going to the lakes I want to go to, and I'm going to those lakes because I know the crappie live in the timber. I love fishing around the timber, and that comes from 27 years of trying to find giant crappie without live scope. Right. So if I go to 20 years ago, I drove down to Texas. The first thing I'm doing is I'm looking for timber. I knew in my career crappie would be around the standing timber someplace at some time at some depth. I just knew they were, and they live there. It's a great place for them to hide. It's some of the best cover in the world. I won, I think, the 5 different states that I've won crappie tournaments in. All 5 of those tournaments that I won were all on standing timber. So I love fishing the standing timber. It's easy. You can visibly see it. All I had to do is figure out, were they 2 foot down in 10 foot of water, or were they 15 foot down in 20 foot of water? That's what I thought my puzzle I had to unlock was. So it was almost like a cheat code for me. There are people out there trying to open water and fish brush, but I was running right to the timber, and I knew somewhere in that timber there would be crappie living. So my special little lake I'm talking about, Kansas, they're all out there wandering. None of them are on the timber. So yeah, I do catch them. I think a fish holding still on a piece of cover, not moving, is a lot easier to catch.
Without a doubt, I agree.
You don't have to chase him down. You're flipping, you miss it, you're chasing him with the trolling mower. That's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that was my that was my next question: is do you cast to them or do you pitch to them?
I pitch the line out. Yeah, I just take more line out and pitch and reel it back. And that's how they catch all of them at Grenada, is because those fish are constantly moving at Grenada, and that's why I think it's harder to catch them. They never stop moving. Right. You got a big 2-pound crappie on a tree and his nose is up there. All you got to do is get his attention. You got to drop that jig down right there, get him to look up. And you guys have noticed on your live scope, if you see their butts drop, get ready to set the hook. If you see that crappie do that, he's gonna hit the jig.
That's right.
So that's what I look for. If he has any other movement, I'm in trouble. I know he's never going to hit it, but he does this on that live scope, you know you're getting ready to set the hook. So I just think the fish that are on the cover, they're holding still, so I can get a better drop on their nose. Those guys are really good at chasing those crappie down. I'm okay at it. I'm not the great at it by no means. So I prefer, especially when I'm going for fun, I want it to be easy. I want it to be. I don't want to go out there and work for it. I don't want to chase them down in open water. I want them to be on every tree I go to. I'll go through and pick them off. So I always go to the timber first and then go from there. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So we got another question from a viewer here, North Texas fisherman. When do you move into the creek channels versus fishing the flats?
That's a great question. And that's coming up right now. Right now is the transition time, right? So the flats are all summer long to me. As soon as they spawn, those suckers, those jokers are going right to those flats because that's where all the bait is. Those bait gets out of the creek and they go out on them flats and they spawn, those crappie follow them. And there's still a bunch on the flats right now, but the colder it gets, they will be on the creek channel. From November to all the way to March, they're going to be on that creek channel somewhere. And that's all I do when I go to Texas. All I do when I go to Texas is look for that main creek channel on the mapping system. That's what I do. So, and I'm fishing the timber that's right on the creek channel bends from November to February all the way to March until they start moving back in there. They live there all year long for sure.
Yeah, those tight contours. That's a great spot to be.
And so something people don't realize, and some of you older guys will know exactly what I'm talking about, is we don't talk or give enough credit to these mapping systems. These mappings, this is unreal. I mean, the first crappie tournament I won, I was driving a boat, and my dad had a paper map, and the wind was blowing the paper map. And he was going right. And I, oh no, you're out of creek left. And he had a paper map. And these young kids will never understand what we're talking about.
No.
The very first bass boat I had a flasher in the dash and we had a paper map. Right, that's what we had. And now I got a bass boat that's got electronics and my first house cost. I mean, it's unbelievable where we've come. But the mapping system, learning how to use your mapping system is just as important as that to use your live scope. Because you're not going to use your live scope, but you can never find the crappie. Well, that mapping system in the wintertime shows you the creek channel within 10 feet of every lake you go to now. And to me, that is massive because we didn't have that 20 years ago. We had to find the creek channel on our own by default. So, yeah, these mapping systems are incredible nowadays, for sure.
So, North Texas fisherman brought up another question is when you are fishing the creek channels, do you fish the outside or inside bends?
I let the fish tell me where. I fish it all, right? I just go down and fish it all, and it'll if you pay attention, it's like everyday fishing. It's this big jigsaw puzzle to be putting the pieces together. You get a bite, right? And it's all on the outside bend. You go fish more outside bends. But I just start going down it and just seeing where the fish are at and where I catch them. For sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I know your answers to this question because I've seen you do it too many times on your videos. But North Texas fisherman came up with another great question: is what do you do when you have fish follow your jig up and turn away?
You know what I do? I just go to the next fish.
Really?
Yes.
Just that simple.
I mean, you go back down and you try to buy them again. You drop it, you put another color, and you can do all that.
There you go.
Stuff.
That's what
you could put another color in and see if they'll react. And sometimes they do. There are fish that. Here's what I think. There are fish that are going to bite, and there's fish that aren't. That's what I have learned in this whole craziness of live scope. And you can. I mean, I'll do this. And those suckers will fall all the way up to the surface. You can see them come to the surface sometimes, and they'll never eat it. And you're like, why? What is it that makes him trigger? A lot of times it is the color, and people say color doesn't matter. There are times that it does. You can pick up another color, and that's why we have multiple rods, right? And I do that. I do that on those fish that when I drop it down, more than follow it, the one I drop down to, and they don't do anything, and you stick another color down there and they hit it, you might have been using the wrong color all day, right? So, and color will change throughout the day too on the light penetration. I don't know if you guys have noticed on your live scope, if you set it up and it's perfect in the morning, whatever your settings are there, it may not be perfect at noon because of the light penetration. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's different. So, yeah, that definitely color does matter at times. I like the days the color doesn't matter, but there are definitely times that it does matter for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And that's why I like. That's people ask why didn't you try this person to come on? Now I want Kevin because Kevin is going to confirm a lot of the stuff that I say in my videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, for sure.
And that's awesome, man. I've seen you pull some. There's a picture that I wanted to use for my thumbnail. You hold those two stringers of big old slabs. Man, I couldn't get that picture clear to save my life.
Oh, it was grainy. That was a GoPros don't take very good pictures, by the way. They just
But trips like that, man, that's what dreams are made for, right there.
Oh yeah, I came back and actually cleaned all those fish and gave my company a fish fry out of those fish, and they love it. I got people, you guys know the same people that would never catch a fish, never have any desire to go fishing, but will still eat those fried crappie.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah, I got a lot of them kids that work for me. They don't even know what a crappie is, but they sure enjoy eating those fried crappie.
They love eating them though.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So what is your guys' favorite crappie lake in the world? You guys have
mine's just the same as yours. Fork is my number one. Yeah, and I've only fished it 3 times.
Hour and 40 minutes away.
40. Yep. You're right there.
I'm right there. Yep.
And it's 4.5 hours away from me. And I complain that it's way too far. And then you coming from Missouri.
Oh yeah, I'll drive 8 hours to go there just because it's so good.
Yeah.
Kim, what about you?
Hands down.
Kim, you live up here by me. What would be your favorite crappie lake?
Truman and El Dorado.
Yeah, El Dorado's a good crappie lake. It really is.
I heard there's some big fish on El Dorado.
I'm a timber. I'm like you. I like the timber.
Yeah, with timber. That's just kind of here in the Midwest. We're kind of spoiled from Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas. They left the majority of our timber in our lakes, and you go out to the East Coast, and they cut it all on the East Coast, North Carolina, and some of those, they cut the timber out, which is bizarre to me. And that's where those guys learn to dock shoot and they cast a lot more than we do. I think that's because where we live, that standing timber was left in place, and those crappie they live in it. So standing timber for me, for sure. Yeah.
Structure and bait. And bait.
Man. That will
makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that will create crappie habitat for sure.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and I do believe that the dingier water and Fork isn't. So when I go to Lake Fork, there's clear water in Lake Fork down by the dam, right? I've never seen the dam of Lake Fork in my life. I've been to Lake Fork 30 times. I couldn't tell you what the dam looks like. That's not where I'm fishing. I'm fishing as far away from that dam that I can possibly get on either arm, and just working my way back till I find the bite. And that's where I go every time I go fishing.
Nice. What's the average depth you fish throughout the year?
Oh, I'd say the depth of water would be less than 15 foot. Believe it or not. Yeah.
And, we were talking about that last week on our show, and it surprises a lot of people, even especially in the heat of the summer and then in the dead of winter. You know, everybody think, hey, run down to the dam. You got to get to that deepest water in the lake.
That's what they think. Their mindset tells them that it's cold, so they need to go to 50 foot of water, and that's not. Yeah, there's probably crappie there. That's not necessarily the case. And something I'm spoiled. My home lake of Truman, that Kim mentioned, it's one of the best shallow water crappie lakes in the country. Meaning, in August when it's 100 degrees and you can't breathe, there'll be a big giant crappie living in 4 to 6 foot of water. They're just living there because it's so dirty and so stained that the light penetration isn't bothering their eyes, so they don't have to go deep. They're just it stays fertile. The water's moving. They got enough oxygen to live, and it'd be 100 degrees. You can hardly breathe, and look at crappie in 6 foot of water, and it blows people's mind. Yeah, that's true. That's how we grew up fishing. We know to go shallow, and all tournament anglers know to go shallow too. That's not a secret by no means. But there are certain lakes where they live deeper. In deeper water than other lakes. That's definitely a thing. Garabone, Louisiana, those crappie, the majority of the crappie will live deeper in deeper water. They may only be 2 to 4 foot down, but they'll be over 16 foot of water. Something that I don't think a lot of people understand is not all the crappie will go to the bank to spawn. That's a misconception of a lot
of people. Without a doubt. They use those trees.
They'll spawn right on that limb of that tree out in 20 foot of water. And people don't realize that. Yeah, they'll spawn out deep. Especially at Lake Fork. If you've been to Lake Fork on the upper end, you look around and people think you got to have pea gravel or rock. And you look around Lake Fork and it's just all grass and marshy, and they're spawning in those trees. They're spawning in the trees at Lake Fork.
Without a doubt. Sure. Yeah. I totally agree. So North Texas fishermen got another question for you. Are you going to hit LOP this year?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't missed a winter at Lake of the Ponds in several years. So I'll be there. I let everybody fish it, and they'll get tired of it and they'll get too cold. You know, if it gets below 35 degrees in Texas, you Texas guys won't go fishing. I'll be down there loving it. They'll be warm to me.
Loving it.
I see you out there on that 19-degree trip, man, and you just caught hog after hog after hog.
Unbelievable. And there was no one on the lake. I was the only boat on that entire lake. That was when we had the deep freeze last year and Texas froze up. I was on the water fishing.
And they're in huge schools.
Huge. It was unbelievable. It was fun. Yeah. Yeah. If you can stand the cold, it's one of the best times to go for sure.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
I prefer winter fishing myself.
Yeah, I like keeping when I keep the crappie, I'd rather keep them in the cold water. Right? They keeps the meat fresh for me instead of in the summer.
They're way better.
Way better. It's just in the summer they're more slimier and the meat's not as
mushy.
Good. Them cold water crappie are the best for sure.
Man.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
So what all lakes have you fished in Texas?
I have fished Ponds, Fork, Lavon, Bob Sandlin. There's
Palestine.
I fished. There's some smaller ones up there above Bob Sandlin. Pat Mays on this one. Okay. Several. That's about it. I mean, once I learned Fork and I learned Pines, that's like really the only two I go to now. I just go to one of those two, and I'll go down there during the week. I'll take off on Monday. I'll go to both of them in the same week and just figure out which one's better and just stay fishing it. It's a drive in between them by no means. It's an hour and 40 minutes between the two, but I've already drove 8 hours, so I might as well go to both of them while I'm there.
Exactly. Those are both great lakes. Both
other two of my favorite. I also put, if you guys have never been, I'd put Millwood, Arkansas up there as well. It's incredible. It's more of the swampy top lake with the alligators and everything else, but it's a pretty neat place, and it's got some giant crappie in it too. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I haven't been to all of them, right? But the ones I have been, that's where I made my list. So
sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had to put Truman Lake on there, my home lake, because Truman is, and that's why I put like Eufaula on it, or in Oklahoma, just because you just the number of fish you catch, right? So people want different things. They want the numbers of fish, or they want giant fish. And I like a mixture of both. There's times where I'll go where I just want to catch a giant one, but I like setting the hook, right? Like everybody else, I'd rather have a 60 fish day than a 3 fish day with giant crappie. So I'd rather catch 60 than 3 big ones. That's just where I'm at. I just like setting the hook on those crappie, for sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's on. So
yeah, I was looking at you. I was looking for you at the expo this past expo.
Yes, so this whole crappie world is when my dad quit. Instead of getting bored, I went and I'm chasing bass now, and I had a bass tournament, or I would have been at the expo for sure. So
yeah,
that's one tournament that I will fish if I can the rest of my life, just to support crappie fishing, because it's an amazing sport. I've been trying to support it my whole life. I don't want to quit. And the payback's amazing. I mean, my goodness, he's going to give away $120-some thousand to crappie fish next year at Table Rock. That was a lot
of money. Yep.
Yeah, so I plan on fishing it next year at Table Rock. I was at the last Table Rock event. I did the top 25 went to the last day at Table Rock. Last time I was there, I took 26th place, of course. So
yeah, I was there. I remember. I watched you at the weigh-in.
Yeah, I took 26th place.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to going back to that one and getting a little revenge. I know Table Rock a lot better now than I did before.
Right.
Yeah. So if I fish, I wanted to fish. There's a Jack and Jill tournament at Lake of the Pines that I fished. They just had it last week. I'd like to fish. We won the first one ever, my wife and I, that they ever had. So I like to fish that. And, some local ones at Truman. I'll definitely fish the expo every year for sure. Just because it's the best and biggest event that we actually have is crappie fishermen. It just is.
Right.
And people, there's walleye haters and there's walleye lovers. And I'll tell you one thing, there is nobody in this world that's better at promoting crappie fishermen, the crappie fishing and crappie fishermen than Wally Marshall, period. There's nobody. No one holds a candle to the promotions and what he has done for crappie fishing. He's a master at it. You can say whatever you want about him, but what he's done and the time and the effort he's put in personally, I know the hours that he puts in. He drives all over the country promoting crappie fishermen. So I want to fish the event just to support him, if nothing else, for all the hard work that he's done. So I mean, you're crappie fisherman fishing for $120,000. That's amazing. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah,
who would have thought that?
Yeah, not me. You know how many tournaments I won?
He has bass fishermen wanting to fish the tournament crappie.
They fished it. They fished it this year. Yeah. Shaw Grigsby.
Yep.
Yes. Who's the other one he had? Paul Elias. He had Paul Elias. He had several guys. He had there was an Elite Series guy that fished it. I mean, why not? $120,000. That's pretty amazing. So I definitely am planning on fishing it next year, and I want to fish it every year if I can, for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we got Chat Jock here, a viewer that asks, have you ever fished any lakes in North Carolina? And what was your best? Oh, you never have? Okay.
Never have. I've never been east of the crappie fish. Well, that's not true. I fished the St. Johns River. So that's as far as east as I went, which is a long way down there. Other than that, Neely Henry would be all the way back. I haven't fished in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I haven't fished any of those. Like I couldn't I know Santee Cooper is an amazing lake. I know it is. I know Whitey Outlaw catches, I don't know how many 3-pound big giant black species crappie he's caught out of those things. So I couldn't put it on my list because I couldn't put it on my list. I've never been there. Like they say, Clear Lake out in California has giant crappie. I'm sure it does, but we don't know about it. None of us do. So never been to North Carolina. I know that some of those are like clear lakes, and that's where a lot of dock shooting and the long line pulling came from out there on those lakes for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So North Texas fishermen got another great question: is how many crappie do you drop on in practice versus tournament day?
That's a great question, and that's something that I don't think enough guys are doing. I think either, no matter what tournament you're fishing, I'm learning this the hard way in my bass fishing. I'm catching too many of them in practice. Those fish don't want to bite again.
Right.
So I fished 2 crappie tournaments this year, and what I did is I went out and caught a couple. I caught 5 in the practice day, and that was it. And the rest of the time, I would drop the trolling rod and I would just look for them. I was just trying to look for them, put a mental note, and come back to them. And I think tournament anglers need to do that a lot more than they are, right? Because it's so hard as a fisherman. You're there, and all you want to do is set the hook, and it's so hard to not catch those fish. It's a hard thing to do. So tournament anglers, not catching fish, it's the hardest thing you need. But you can't win practice either. Win practice does you no good. So
that's right.
Yeah, you don't want to catch all your fish in practice.
So you got Slapbuster asked, "Do you need a net man?"
No, because I don't use a net.
No, he didn't. Hopefully,
I don't ever. I've never used a net ever.
Yeah. Me either.
The last 14 3-pounders I caught, I boat flipped right into my hand. I boat flipped them right in my hand and caught the line and then lipped them and beat those people away. I never used a net. Then you get that momentum going, and what would happen? Most people would come all over the top and they stop and they give that fish slack and he swims off.
And the fish gets off. Yeah.
Keep coming. Bring that momentum and just keep it coming. I don't use a net. Don't use a net. So
yeah.
So
are you almost exclusively using the steelhead hooks now?
Yeah, you know what? No, and I'm not. Let me explain why. So I came out with them, right? The steelhead hooks I put on. I have a jig head through Jinko Fishing called a Warhead, and it has those steelhead hooks on it. And my Warbird, I have a hair jig that Jinko actually makes for me, so I don't have to hand tie them anymore. And it has that steelhead hook on it. And when they're out away from the cover, those are the most amazing hooks in the world. You get that hook next to a piece of cover, you're going to leave that hook in the tree.
Right.
So I believe it or not, there's still a time where I use a bronze hook if I'm deep in the cover to where I can flick my line, bend that hook, and get my jig back. So I still use a bronze hook when I'm deep in the timber, and that blows a lot. And that everyone thinks that that steelhead hook, you're not going to ever bend the hook out, but you're going to get hung up a lot with it.
Yeah.
And this is a product I make and make money off of it. And I'm telling you what I do. If I'm fishing gnarly, what you guys call in Texas, boat trees or hedge trees or cedar tree, I'm not putting that steelhead hook down there because once it hits a branch, I'm never going to see it ever again. So I'll switch and go to a lighter gauge wire hook to where I can flip and get that thing to bend and flex and get off that tree. So that's my next thing with Jinko is to come out with a heavy, and it sounds weird because people think heavy cover, they think you need a stiffer, bigger hook, and I'm thinking the opposite.
Right.
And does that make sense to you? What I'm saying?
Yep. It totally does.
Yeah, you get that big steelhead hook down and deep in that brush pile, and man, it's like a magnet. As soon as it hits that, and there's that hook isn't flexing at all. Yeah, you're done. It's going to stay in that brush pile. So wide open in the open, there's nothing around it. You want that steelhead hook, right? On this big magnet because it's not going to bend. So I think
they are super sharp.
Oh, they're unbelievable. Yeah, there's still a time and place for bow style hooks in my fishing, is what I'm saying for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
So we got another state question here. Jimmy Flyhookum asked, "Have you ever fished Arkansas?"
Oh yeah, I've won on Millwood. I won a tournament on Millwood. I won a tournament on Dardanelle. Where else have I fished in Arkansas? Conway. I didn't win. I've won 2 tournaments in Arkansas, one on Millwood and one on Dardanelle. And I put both of those lakes in my top 10 best crappie lakes in the United States for 2 different reasons. Yeah, I think Millwood, I put Millwood second, I believe, on my list. It's got giant crappie. And then you go to Dardanelle, which is over by closer to Little Rock in the central part of the state. And it's just got crappie from one end to the other. It's the Arkansas River dammed up, and it's got crappie all over the place. But that's just those 3 lakes are the only lakes I fished in Arkansas for crappie.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I like the comment that you gave. Just change subjects again. You mentioned on a crappie that follows you up and don't commit, you move to your next fish.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself doing that more than
Oh yeah.
say making changes?
Yeah. I mean I've always been the believer in catching the fish that's active. Right.
Active,
And that's
right?
yeah, before LiveScope ever existed, that's what me and my father and I we were moving. I
Stick and
mean,
move, yeah.
we were dropping. If we didn't get bite, we were going to the next tree, and we were moving. And all we were
Yeah.
trying to do was get the active fish to bite. Who
Right.
wants a crappie that doesn't want to bite? Nobody likes
That's
those
right.
guys, right? Those things stink. So that's all we were doing. The more drops we were making, our odds were better that we were going to put it in front of one that was going to thump it. So there's times I'll drop on a fish, he doesn't react, he doesn't move. Sometimes it looks like they're asleep, to be honest.
Right, without a doubt. I totally agree.
And I just move on. I just go to the next one instead of wasting all that time. You could waste 30 minutes on a fish if you wanted to, and I want to go catch one in 30 minutes, so I just move on to the next fish. I don't even care how big he is. I just go on. I can move on. So that's what I do.
I know that's a question that Steve was going to probably touch on, because we ask just about everybody that question, and because to me, and sometimes what I'll do, I've never seen you use scent. That's another topic that I'd like to ask you about.
Yeah, I've never done it. My dad was a crappie nibble guy. He'd keep those things in his pocket. And he'd have glitter all over his face, and he'd put them out on the deck of the boat and try to dry them out. They'd fly over. I'd smash them in the curb. I just never did it. I never used scent ever. I just never done it. Now I've used a minnow. Yeah, I've definitely killed some minnows in my day. I don't think you get any better scent than a minnow. I mean, I still think the minnow is probably the undefeated king in all of crappie fishing, to be honest with you. Right? I mean, I don't use them. I haven't bought a minnow this entire year. Not one minnow, which is unusual. Back in the day before LiveScope, we'd buy them every tournament. Every tournament, we'd have a bucket in. Even if I threw them back in the water, there'd be times where you had to have a minnow. We tip our jigs with minnows. You don't do that anymore. When you can see the fish and you can see his nose, put an artificial bait down there is just as powerful as the minnow. But there's still time you can drop that live minnow down there when they're not biting and still get them to bite for sure. So if it's so tough I need to go to scent, I'm probably going to a live minnow, if that makes sense. And eliminating the scent, yeah. But for sure, I'd rather use an artificial bait. And if you minnow fished a lot, they hit artificial bait harder than a minnow. Minnow, they kind of just mush it. It's almost like they're trying to squeeze it in half and kill it. But a jig, they'll thump it. They'll get it all the way down their throat. Yeah, different bite for sure. Yeah, that jig bite is hard to beat.
Yeah, it is
for sure.
For
sure.
That's awesome. Steve, you got any questions for Kevin?
No, I'm pretty good, man. He's explained a lot.
He has.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing you learned since LiveScope?
How spooky they can be. How spooky they probably were this whole time. We didn't know it. Having these big, giant 2 to 2.5 pound crappie spook on your jig, it just blew me away. A crappie jig can spook a crappie. That's it. They're supposed to eat the jig, and they're being spooked away from it. And that's why you saw this mass explosion of the little bitty hair jigs came back. Right, they came back in full force, and that's all because of the way the crappie were reacting to the baits. So that's one thing I learned the most. I think we all learned that. We all learned quite a bit about the behavior of the crappie now, for sure.
Yeah. What time of the year do you think they're most spooky?
I think it seems to be summertime. And
that's what I'm thinking.
And there's a weird time around the spawn they get really weird too. And there's also, I've seen it down at D'Arbonne, Louisiana, when there was a bunch of current and like particles floating in the water. They just were so spooky. You had to cast them. You couldn't get within 30 feet of them. It was weird. So there's different times and different weather conditions that just make them spooky. And that's why that's why I go to that timber. When they're stuck on that timber, you can get over top of them and jig right down their nose. And that's why I always go to the timber first. If there's crappie in the timber, that's where I'm going to be fishing. I just think those fish are easier to catch. So,
they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. Good question.
And you've put out a lot of good information, man. I mean, it's just awesome listening to a good crappie fisherman that's willing to share the information that you've put out.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I want everyone to love that thump. You know, everyone on here loves that thump. They wouldn't be listening. They know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And I love taking new people, and I just sit and watch them now with live scope, and then with the kid, my wife, whoever that doesn't get to go, and just see the reaction to that thump. And I want everyone to feel that thump on that long rod. Whoever's long rod, I don't care if it's Todd Huckabees or Wally's, just that thump of that long rod it's fun. It's amazing. It's something. I go do it for fun all winter long. I skip work to go to Texas to get that thump, just to get the thump. And I love it. I sure do.
That's it.
For sure. Yep.
The first time you take somebody, they realize they don't know what they're looking for until they feel it. Then once they feel it their first time, like,
oh yeah, yeah. It's fun because my wife doesn't go. She goes 2 times a year, and she forgets. And the excitement, she almost jumps out of the boat. It's so exciting. And then she just wants to do it again and again. I'm like, okay, we can only catch one at a time. Yeah, it is. It's fun stuff. Yeah, crappie fishing is fun. Yeah, and that's
a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's why I like sharing the information with people, because I want them to go, I want everyone to go get that thump and enjoy it just like I do, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm always like sharing the information. A lot of people, back before live scope would never fish like us because we were fishing so fast. But now with live scope, if you can take the time to learn the live scope, you can catch a lot of crappie. And it's just it's like any kind of fish. It's just time behind that unit, looking and understanding what a crappie looks like. That's the biggest key to it. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So what action? So you got North Texas with another awesome question that I was going to bring up also is the action that you apply now with live scope versus before. Do you find it to be a lot less?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. Before live scope, we would drop that jig down that tree and we would shake it, yank it, and dance it and beat it. You do that now, and them crappie are a mile away from your jig.
Exactly.
We would put rattles in our tube baits and in our slab slings, and we were down there bouncing that thing, and they're like, that is not what they wanted, by the way.
Right.
It is as subtle as you can be now, and you'll see that. And that's why I said when I first go, you've seen it where you drop that jig past that crappie's face, and he just leaves.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah.
So you
never go beneath the crappie.
No, ever. It's you get a foot away from him, and you start easing it down to his nose. Where before I was sitting there jigging it and popping it, and all I was doing was scaring the crappie off. I never caught a crappie doing that in my life.
Without a doubt.
But we sure thought we had to do that so they could see it. They can see it. Yeah, that's a good question. That has definitely changed. That has changed for sure. I mean, there was a lot of times before live scope, I was catching a lot of fish on the fall, which still happens to this day if you're fishing below them. They'll still hit it on the fall. Those days are over because you can see the fish. Like you just said, don't go below the crappie, right?
Exactly.
Ease that thing down to his nose for sure. That's a good question. That is totally changed. You can still do it to this day. I can go out this weekend and see when it doesn't want to bite. If I sit there and shake that jig, he just goes, it's just going to spook him. He's going to swell.
Something else that I've seen on live scope too is that if you do get that fish to commit, keep that jig going away from him, because if you drop it back towards him, it's over.
That's where I lift with my finger. That's what I just keep lifting. And I'll lift it all the way almost to the top. Well, there's times they'll hit it a foot underneath the surface. There's something that, just keep bringing it away from. If he's moving at it, you just keep moving it. If you stop it, even you do anything, he wants it moving away because he's still curious. It's like a cat,
right?
Something for sure. Yeah, they're curious creatures. Yep.
So Romero, I guess he wasn't on at the beginning. He's asking a question, which is a great question too. Do you like braid over fluoro?
And Yep.
Crappie fishing to me, it's a braid game.
It's a braid game, man. If you're not using braid for crappie fishing, even if you're in a crystal clear lake, we proved that when we went to Table Rock. It's clear water lake. You're still using braid with the whatever knot you want to tie to the fluorocarbon or the mono. But the braid, it's more manageable. You can manage a spinning reel full of braid a lot easier than you can a spinning reel full of mono. We've all had the mono jump off the face of the spinning reel and give us these bird's nests. Braid doesn't do that. Now braid has its own tendencies that are a pain, wrapping around the tip, digging it out with your hook and all that good stuff. But you can't replace the sensitivity, and it lasts forever. I mean, you can use braid for an entire year without replacing it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Monofilament and monofilament's even tougher. Fluorocarbon is very fickle. It's very funny. It can be brittle and it can break easier than mono or braid, I believe.
Oh, really?
I think fluorocarbon is it's the funniest line I've ever used. And every bass guy in the world, all they use is fluorocarbon. It's very sensitive, I think. It can break. You tie the wrong knot in it, you can break off. It's funny stuff. It's sensitive. Oh. It's great. It sinks. If you drop it in the water, fluorocarbon will sink. Yeah, it'll sink. Where monofilament will float. It's different tendencies. It's a different line for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime I can get away with straight braid, that's all I'm going to use, straight braid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So James Brinker asked a great question also, and I've did this, but not since I've had live scope, and that is, he asked a question, do you still put a spinner blade on your line above your jig?
That's something I started a long time ago. That's a guy he's been around with me for a while. I like it. Yeah, so what I used to do, I used to take a little bitty number 0 willow leaf blade that has the hole in it. I would just slide it on my line. I haven't done that since live scope came out.
Wow.
You know what?
It's been a while for me too.
You know what I haven't even used since live scope? Since he brought that up, I haven't used a Roadrunner head.
Really?
I have not used a Roadrunner head or a bladed head of any kind since live scope. Yeah. And I haven't even thought about that. I used to take a regular Blake Moore with the big round Colorado blade Roadrunner head, and I'd take it off. I'd put a big willow leaf on it and throw it down them trees and catch fish. I don't even do that anymore. That's and I wouldn't even consider that until he brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything shifted to the subtle. It didn't matter if it was a 1/4 ounce or an 1/8 ounce. It all shifted to that hair jig because the hair jig absorbs the water and doesn't push as much water as the plastic, and they hit it more. That's what it seemed. That's what live scope seemed to tell us, is that the finessey type materials of a marabou or the hair and whatever that were hand tying these jigs with absorbs the water. You can still be finessey with a 1/4 ounce head. That sounds crazy. And I'm talking about the material. You can still hand tie a 1/4 ounce jig, have a big lead head, but the body be still finessey looking.
Right.
Yeah, and I used to be a huge blade guy. Because again, it was like me shaking that stupid jig down there when I shouldn't have been shaking it. I thought that blade was producing me more bites because they thought it was a scale or
vibration.
Something. I thought it was getting me more bites when in reality it probably wasn't. But I had no idea. I was catching fish, so I was happy.
Yeah.
That's a good. I like you asked that question. I actually had Bobby Garland make those for me and sell them in the stores. They were called crappie ticklers. They were called crappie ticklers.
I remember those.
That was my invention, and we slid that on the line. And instead of being on the hook, and it would just trail behind your bait. And I thought it was attracting those fish. And live scope, it sure taught us a bunch. So. Yeah.
So Sean asked a question of, do you have any new rods coming out?
I don't have any. If it was my choice, I'd have one come out every month, right? But that's not how it works. So, unfortunately, I don't own Ginkgo fishing, So I just get to make what they allow me to make. I do want to come out with a new lead head that is the polar opposite of that Steelhead hook for the application I talked about earlier. I want to get Ginkgo to make me a bronze hook that'll flex in the deep cover. We talked about that earlier. So there's a time and place for everything in fishing, right? There's a time and place for a 4-foot rod and a 6-foot rod and a 13. Everything has its place, right? I think there's a place for 2 different type jig heads for sure. But no, I don't have any rods coming out. I did get word that they're going to start selling Jinko and Bass Pro Shops, which I was extremely happy to find out. So yeah,
that's awesome.
That's a big deal.
Sure.
So that's going to come out for sure. So yeah, that's big. But no, I don't have any new products or anything. I mean, haven't talked to them about coming out with this new head, but I still think there's a time that Steelhead hook took over for those fish that are out there wandering. You want that hook that doesn't bend, but I still think when they're tight in that cover, that hook actually hurts you more than it helps you. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
It does.
Yeah.
It's either, if you do use it, you need to be very careful.
Yeah, you still use it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so super sharp and it has no give. It's not going to roll over a limb. It's going to catch that limb more so than a smaller diameter bronze hook, if that makes sense. Yeah,
it does.
So,
yeah.
And I still love fishing brush piles and in the cover. I still love that. That's still fun to me.
So what size plastic you use on your quarter jig head? Like the size plastic, like
it's
2 inch,
I make
3 inch?
it's like 2.5. I think it's 2.5 inch. I make a bait called an afterburner through Jinko, and it's a plastic bait. It's 2.5 inches, and I'll put that on the 1/4 ounce head. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What size hook?
It's a 1/0 hook.
Yeah. Okay.
1/0 hook. Yeah. That seems to be commonplace for that big head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have another question from a viewer, Glenn Darden, asked, do you have any pointers for him to help him fish a clear water lake?
Man, I'm just not the guy. I'm not. I wish I did. I'm just not. And so I live by Clearwater lakes. I won't fish them. It doesn't.
Wow.
I mean, I'll drive around a Clearwater lake to go to a muddy water lake, and that's just that's what I do. And so what I do, I search out those timber-filled, stained lakes, whether it's in Kansas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, wherever that is. I drive around the clear. I've pulled up. So my favorite thing to do in the winter is just get in my truck and start driving. I'm kind of spoiled. I can have that time off. I have an amazing wife. She lets me do this, and I just go. And I'll just put it in my map on my iPhone. I'll go to a brand new boat ramp I've never been to in my life, and I pull up, I look at the water, and more times than not, I turn around and leave because it's too clear. and like I don't know anything about. I do that all Oklahoma. Everyone knows who Josh Jones is, right? They've seen all his craziness. All he's doing is going to these little bitty lakes in Oklahoma that no one even knows what they are. Both of them are little city water lakes. I've done the same thing. And if I pull up to one of them and they're too clear, I leave. Clear water is not my. I've always thought about like this: the clearer the water, the deeper the crappie are going to live.
Right.
Because the light's going to penetrate and push them down. Not always necessary. They still live pretty deep in Texas just because they do. But for the majority, and I always thought if a crappie was 50 foot down, that's 49 feet of water I got to deal with before I get to the crappie. Why not catch him in 10 foot of water at the exact same time of year? To make your odds better, go find the dingier water. That's what I've always thought. Right? It's easier for me to catch a fish in 10 foot of water than it is 50 foot of water. Right? The wind's blowing and you're trying to manage 50 foot of line, or your wind's blowing, you're trying to manage 9 foot of line. Right. I'd rather do the 9 foot line. That's why I like the dirty dingy water. And I think the dirtier water produces big crappie. I just do. I think the biggest big fish crappie lake in the world is Grenada. No one can deny that. More 3-pounders get taken out of Grenada than anywhere on planet Earth, and it's the nastiest water you've ever seen in your life. It is so dirty. I mean, you can't see 3 inches in the water, and it just produces big fish. And I've seen that to hold true in every state I've won. I won in 5 different states. All 5 states I won crappie tournaments in. The water was dirty, dingy, and I stayed away from the clear water. That's what I've done. And I know there's a lot of guys that are like me too. A lot of other crappie tournament guys that just go to that dirty water. Just seems like bigger fish. Yeah. Yeah.
So Kenneth, another viewer, Kenneth, has asked, what mapping system do you use? And I know you're running the Garmin's on your console also. So are you using the mapping?
Yeah, the built-in mapping system from Garmin. Yeah, that's built in. They do have a cool feature. If you download the Active Captain on your phone, you can auto shade from your phone to your map. Something else that's cool, you can sit in your living room on your Active Captain and mark waypoints on your phone, and then go to your Garmin unit, connect it, and those waypoints will be in your mapping system. That's pretty powerful too.
It's very powerful.
Very powerful. A lot of people don't do that.
Yep.
I learned that from John Sukup with the bass tank.
Yeah.
I watched him. I roomed with him this year, and he's sitting there, and he's like, I got 300 waypoints, and I'm like, I thought you'd never been here before. He said, I hadn't. I've been marking these all winter. And he just looking at stuff, go out and see if it's any good, and remove them if they're not. That's kind of a powerful tool. Yeah. Awesome.
And it's very important to do that, because you can, on a lake you've never been to, you can study the contours of that lake, and like he did, mark spots that you go and check when you get there.
Right. That's what he was doing. Yeah. And I've been doing that ever since. It's very powerful. Very powerful tool. Yeah. Yeah.
So
and
we got
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing people aren't doing, and I don't know why they're doing it, people aren't updating their units. I've always updated. If there's an update in my Garmin unit, I'm updating it. People are afraid they're gonna lose data, or I don't know what they're afraid of. I always update my units. Anytime there's an update, when I connect my phone to my unit, I update it. I just always have. Yeah, that's if you call someone like the bass tank and you got a problem, the first thing they're going to ask you is, have you updated your unit?
Yeah,
just like any IT person ever, when you call them and you got a problem, have you rebooted your computer? It's the same thing with your Garmin unit. You need to update that thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So another viewer, Gary, say he's used mono his whole life and wants to know what's your most preferred pound test braid to use.
15 pound, which is only, depending on what brand you use, a 6 or an 8 diameter, right? So two different things going on with the braid. You can have a braid that's 15 pounds. That's my favorite poundage, because you're never going to break a crappie on 15-pound braid unless you're not going to break. I mean, I've caught 3.5-pound crappie and boat flipped them in the boat. The braid's not going to break. It's 15 pounds. You're catching a 3-pound crappie, and it's an 8-pound diameter. So you still get that thin diameter, but you're getting 15 pounds of braid. So I like an 815 is what I like. It's a good question. Yeah.
So here's another question from Stephanie, and I'm going to listen to you on this, because it's something that I'm guiding right now, and I've only been taking one person out at a time right now, but I want to start taking 2 people out. So her question is, do you have any tips for the person that fishes in the back while you're using live scope and got a person up front using it?
Wow. Just keep casting. Just keep casting. Yeah. You're on a desert. You're out there in no man's land. I mean, but here's what you can keep in your mind. There's crappie around, right? There has to be, or they wouldn't be. They're not. There's still a way to catch crappie in the back of the boat. It just, your odds are really poor. I mean, you can still. I would be casting. I would be constantly asking that guy in the front of the boat, how deep are the fish?
Just know how deep they are.
Yeah, are they 15 foot on pieces of timber? Every piece of timber I'd be going by, I'd be trying to get down 15 foot. Are they 5 foot on the timber? Are they below the surface where I can cast them? I'd be asking them for all the data back to me to help my odds. Right. And that's hard to do if you're on a guide trip, because you're there to help both people catch fish.
Right.
That's a hard one to do for sure. Yeah, guiding people. I see guides on Truman Lake. They got 3 people in the boat. And I think they're just rotating musical chairs.
Exactly.
Right. They're just like, you're up next. This is your fish, and I mean, because we're literally fishing for one fish at a time. But if I was in the back of the boat and someone was like, I would be constantly wanting information from them to help me catch a fish.
I totally agree.
Yep. But the thing about with live scope, if you got it, you fishing timber like you like to fish timber, you don't have to worry about it, because you have one person up there. The expert could be fishing that little set of timber you don't pass on the other side of the boat.
Absolutely.
Fish.
Yeah, timber would be different, where they could actually reach it and jig it.
Right.
Yeah, you're not gonna you're going to be fishing one piece of timber. They could definitely be jigging the other piece of timber on that information you're feeding back to them. That'd be the way to do it for sure. Yeah.
So Byron here wants to know if you fish any of the lakes up north in Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Michigan.
Ooh, never have for crappie. I need to move over here and plug my phone in. Never have for crappie. I have for bass and walleye and all those other things. I've never crappie fished up there. I know there's amazing crappie. Something I think is amazing, a lot of people don't know. Up north, they only have black species crappie. I don't know if you guys knew that. Like Canada, they only have black species, and then you go back down to the whole state of Florida, only has black species, which is weird to me. I guess it's because of the grass or whatever. So something else.
Right.
But no, I've never fished up there for crappie.
In the water, in clear water, they're clear water fish.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you still use your side imaging?
Yeah, I use side imaging all the time. Absolutely. Yeah. I still use it. Yep. Yeah, if I'm to a lake I've never been to, for sure, I have split screen. I use down and the side imaging at the same time, letting me know what I'm looking at. I use it all the time. Every time I go out, I have it on, actually. So yeah, for sure. I have 2 units in the back. I have one mapping system going, and then I have a split screen down and side imaging, for sure.
Right. Do you ever use perspective mode?
Never. No, yeah. I just think everyone keeps saying about, well, how does it get better than line scope?
I agree.
It doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Once you learn it and you understand what you're looking at, it's pretty powerful stuff. Yeah.
Very powerful.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. What do you think the next version of Live Scope's going to look like?
Man, I thought about that. I thought about that on the way home from work today, because what I'm learning in the bass fishing side of using Live Scope is I cannot see the fish past 70 feet. I can't see them. They're too distorted for me.
Right. Yep.
So I think maybe that's the next technology, right? So when I crappie fish, I shoot out 30 feet. I don't know what do you guys shoot out typically?
50. Just scanning. Lake Fork trees,
Yeah, I shoot out to 75, but I'm only looking for structure. I'm not looking for fish.
Right.
And then once I locate it.
Yeah. But everyone knows you dial it back in, and the picture, it's a whole different game, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, when I'm bass fishing, everybody's got it out here at 100. I can't see what I'm looking at. Yeah, I can see a piece of timber, but I can't tell if there's a fish on it. So I think, to me, how they could get better is making that long view better. Right. Hopefully that's what the next version is. Because past 70, it's very blurred images. You guys know what I'm saying.
How long are you casting bass fishing? You casting pretty far, right?
Yeah, I get 50 to 60 foot.
Yeah. And so you want to see that view.
Yes, I shoot out 60 when I'm bass fishing, and I only shoot out 30 when I'm crappie fishing. That's what I do. Yeah. Because past 60, it's no man's land for there. I can't even tell I'm looking. It just gets too distorted for me.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're up close to your tree or brush pile, what forward range do you use?
I keep it at 30. I keep it at 30 the whole time.
Yeah.
Forward. I just keep it at 30. And the reason I don't mess with it anymore is so that I can get
the size of the fish.
Yeah, so I can get it in my mind. Because if you crank it in to only 15 foot in front of you, that crappie just got a whole lot bigger, and you don't know what size. So I keep it at 30 the whole time, so I can get my mind right on what pound crappie looks like. Yeah. Do you guys zoom in closer than that, or do you keep it?
Sometimes 20, but 30 is the best.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I stick 25 to 30.
What about the depth? I think that's something people mess with quite a bit. So I don't ever go higher, meaning shallower than 15 foot.
Right.
Even if I'm fishing in 10 foot of water, I still keep it at 15 foot.
Right.
I don't know if you guys do that or not.
Yep.
I do that for the same reason, but I want the size to remain the same.
Right. And the picture actually looks
it's
better,
like clearer.
I think.
Yeah, I do too, because you get too zoomed in, it's too distorted, and it gets messy.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Too much noise.
Right. Yep. And what I'll do in a day, if if I'm fishing in the wintertime and they're deep, say I'm in 30 foot of water, but the crappie 30 foot of water, but the crappie are all at 20 foot, I won't shoot 30 foot. I'll only shoot 24 and save me that screen. Right.
The rest is waste.
It's just you're below there. There's absolutely nothing. I don't ever look at it. I just zoom it up and keep it at where the crappie are at. Yeah.
Good info. Good info right there. That's awesome. Anybody got any more questions? Steve?
The guy's dock shooting. Do you have a dock shoot?
I do not.
Yeah.
I have never, in 30 years of tournament crappie fishing, ever fished a dock in a tournament. Yeah, I just haven't. I know there's some people that's the only way they fish.
Yeah.
I just never did it ever. Yep.
How do you run your trolling motor? Do you spot lock or do you just run it?
I just run it.
Yeah.
The only time I spot lock is when I catch a fish. That's the only time I use, or if I need to go to the back of the boat to get another jig or to get a drink, that's the only time I spot lock, because my live scope transducer is on the head of my trolling motor.
Right.
So I'm constantly moving it, looking, because I like fishing with two hands. My free hand is constantly raising my jig up all day long, raising the jig up. So that's how I fish with two hands.
Do you use your grid?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for sure. Yep. And it's powerful if you look at it. You start that thing long enough, you know how big that crappie is.
Exactly.
Yep. If he fills that grid up, you know something.
Yeah, you want to catch that one. And
yes,
once you start looking at that, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's bigger than that whole entire grid. You're like, nope, that's a good, that's a 2-pounder. Usually a 2-pounder. Yeah, that grid's powerful if you look at it.
Yeah.
So
I switched over to the emerald color. I'm liking it. I've been using it instead of the amber. So I use the green, black looking screen. I've used it for the last 20 months and just kept it on. I'm liking it pretty well. Either one's fine, but those are the only
that's
two
what I use. Black emerald.
Yeah, I like it.
For my eyes, I think it's better.
I think so too. Yeah.
I like orange crawfish.
Do you?
Yeah, orange crawfish. Looks. I mean, it's just for my eyes. I mean, everybody's gonna be different.
Yeah. I've never used it. I need to look at it.
It looks really good. It's not as hot. It's not as hot as the black emerald. So it's a lot easier to dial in to clear your screen up.
One tip for anyone who's got live scope, that the hardest thing to do is to catch a fish if you can't see your jig. Right. You gotta see your jig.
Yep.
And a tip I can give people every time I'm in a boat ramp, whether it's a bass fishing or crappie fishing, I got Garmin plastered all over my boat, so they come up and ask me, I can't see my jig. What am I doing wrong? One tip I can give you: make sure you are messing up and down your color game, not the game. Everyone messes
color
with the game all day long.
Yeah.
Go to that color game.
Yep.
That color game will make that lure glow a lot more than what you can imagine. So that color game is important to see your actual lure or your bait.
Yeah. And that's in the appearance file.
Right. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, you got to go one more step.
Yep. You got to keep it around 83-ish.
That's about where I keep it too. Around 80
I play with mine from 78 to 80.
Yeah. That's what people forget, because it's another step in their menu, and they think the game's gonna do everything for them, and it's just. No, I keep my game really. I don't like any static on my screen.
Right.
So I like a clear screen. So I keep my static and my gain down low and everything else up high to where I can see that jig glow all the way down to the crappie. That's how I like it. Yeah.
So on your gain, I know it differs depending on the time of day and the lake and all that. But what's the average that you run your gain?
I'd say day in, day out, it's around 53 would be my average, is where I'm running my gain, which I think is a little bit lower than most people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've went as low as 49 sometimes, 49 to that 58 or so, right off in there.
It has to do with the wind and the water and all kinds of. But 53 is about normal for me, I would say.
Yeah. You ever fish bridges?
I do. We do fish a lot of bridge piers. I mean, crappie love that concrete structure. And you know what? It's kind of hard to see crappie on live scope on a bridge pier. It's not as easy as a piece of timber for me. I don't know it's because of the shape of them or what it is. It's harder for me to see a crappie on a bridge pier than a piece of timber. So,
Yeah.
But you can definitely see them.
Yeah, North Texas fisherman. He say he likes that Caribbean color, and I know I've looked at it, but I've never fished it.
Right.
That's one of the newer colors. They added a few new colors.
Right.
Yeah,
you ever use bottom fill?
I've tried it. It's a little bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
It is bizarre when you turn it on and you're not used to it. You can, because I was chasing crappie one day and they were going to the bottom. I'd chase them, they would go to the bottom, and then once they get to the bottom, that would spin the death sentence for live scope. Right, you can't see them. That bottom fill, it will help you chase those crappie on the bottom. I was with Suka with the bass tank, turned me onto that with that bottom fill.
Right.
Yeah, I've used it twice and actually caught crappie both times. When I was watching them, they were rimming fish. It was wide open and they were going right to the bottom. And that's just what they were doing. And I can definitely, you can see them a little bit better, but it's hard for your eye to get trained to it because you're just used to that fuzz on the bottom of your live scope.
Yeah. So Catfish and Crappie asked, what do you feel is the perfect size boat for crappie fishing?
Oh man, I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you don't have to have a $75,000 bass boat to go fishing, you just don't. Is it nice? Well, yeah, sure. I mean, that's like everyone always asks me what size garmin they should buy, and I have the same response every time: whatever you can afford. And that's the truth. And like, well, is a 16-inch graph bigger than a 12-inch graph? Well, yeah. I mean, is a 21-foot bass boat better than a 19-foot aluminum boat? Yeah, it is, but you don't have to have it, right?
Right.
You don't have to have any of this crap to go crappie. You don't have to have live scope to go crappie fishing. You can have a flat bed, with a 9.9 and go catch crappie. That's what makes it. That's what's a so cool sport. It can be as simplistic as you want it to be, and it can be as sophisticated as you want it to be. And that's what, I mean, 20 years ago, most of the guys had aluminum boats. Nowadays, everyone has fiberglass bass boats to go crappie fishing. A lot of them do. So that's what I have. I like the big bass boat, but you don't have to have that by no means. So, and my goodness, they're getting expensive.
Even the used boats. Even the used boats now.
Control. Out of control.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know if it ever stops. It grows every year. It's crazy. I get a new boat every single year. I am spoiled. I know that. I get one every year, and it goes up $6,000 every year for the last 15 years. Wow. It doesn't stop. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We gotta going fishing is the most important thing.
Without a doubt.
Go fishing. Yeah.
Yep. So another viewer, Murdoch, asked, will one cranking battery keep live scope going all day?
Ooh, I wouldn't do that. No. Here's the cool thing. Another expensive, bad thing that's come out. But they're awesome. I mean, they're awesome. And I'm talking about the lithium batteries. I have always had an extra battery for my electronics and my live wells way before live scope was everything. I always had an extra battery because the last thing you want to do as a tournament angler is work your butt off all day long, have a live well full of fish, and your battery dead. You don't want that. So I have always ran an extra battery. What I've started doing with these lithiums is I run them in parallel now. So not, how you run your 12-volt batteries to get 36 volt. I'm not doing that. I have a 36-volt lithium, two of them connected together. So they have to drain down both 36-volt trolling motors before my trolling motor will die. Right. I do the same thing with my 12-volt. I have two 12-volt lithiums in parallel, and it has to suck both of them down before it's almost impossible for me to lose power. What I'm saying. Yeah. And that's what and that's what I learned that from the touring bass guys. That's just what they do. You can't be losing power on the water. So no, a live scope you have a black box that's running the transducer, and you have just the power from the unit. It will suck your starting battery down to nothing. And we all learned that when it first came out.
Yeah. Right.
You want it on a separate battery. Your electronics.
Without a doubt.
It's sucking way too much power. Yeah.
Performs a lot better that way too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You don't have any interruptions.
We have another question that I'm laughing at it because for me, I'm gonna go fishing when I can. I don't care if the conditions are safe enough for me to get out in the water, I'm gonna go. But he asked, how long do you wait to go crappie fishing after a cold front, and also do you pay attention to barometric pressure?
No, I don't pay attention to the pressure ever, and I have never waited 1 minute after a cold front to go crappie fishing.
Yeah, I agree.
And here's why: because fishing will fool you. It'll absolutely fool you. There's a lake over here that Kim and I are used to. It's a power plant lake. It's called Lacey in Kansas, and it was 6 degrees. 6 degrees, and my father and I went fishing. And the only reason the lake wasn't frozen because it's a power plant lake. It was 6 degrees. It was snowing, and we caught 310 crappie. The cold front was over top of us. I mean, it was snowing in the boat. And here's how good they were. By this is pre-live scope. We had them so schooled up. We were actually casting to them in the dead of winter. They were so schooled up. I cast out there, and we were using baby shads. And I caught one, and he ripped my baby shad off. And my hands were so cold. I'm like, I just threw the lead head out there, and I caught a crappie. That's how good they were biting. I remember that. That was probably 20 years ago, and I still remember it to this day. We just talked about it this week. So fishing will fool you. Everyone thinks a cold front affects the fish a lot more in the springtime than it ever. A cold front in the winter doesn't affect a crappie. A cold front affects a crappie when he thinks it's time to spawn and he's on the bank, and then the northern wind starts blowing. He's like, well, I thought it was time to spawn, and he goes back out. Springtime cold fronts hurt a lot more than any other cold front. For sure.
Yeah, that's why I rarely ever fish for the spawning fish. I'll fish for the ones that are staged up because they're usually going to be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've won a lot of tournaments. We've won 34 tournaments in our lives. We won some in the middle of the spawn when everyone was on the bank catching the males. And what people don't realize, those big females only go up there for a little bit. And they turn around and come right back out. And we would go right down the middle of the cove, fishing that timber or whatever structure was out there away from the bank. And that's where the bigger fish typically live. And they're not affected by that cold front as much either. But no, I don't wait. I'm like you. If I can go fishing, I'm going fishing. I'm not looking at pressure. I'm not. The only thing that stinks when you go, to me, isn't the rain, isn't the snow. The wind stinks. The wind just makes everything hard. It just makes everything harder. It's harder to control the boat. It's harder to everything when the wind blows. So
I agree.
That's correct.
So North Texas Fisherman has another question talking about your batteries for your trolling motor and wants to know if you run 36 volt or do you run 312s?
I run 36 volt lithium trolling motor battery. So I have 4 batteries in my boat, but they're hooked together. And that's something new that I just learned in the last couple of years. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest with you. So I'm hooking directly black to black, red to red. And what it does, it doesn't give you 70 volt. It's still 36 volt, but it's pulling evenly off 2 batteries at the same time. So instead of killing 1 battery, you got to kill 2 of them. So that's what it is. So I have 2 36 volts. That's just for the trolling motor, and I have 2 12 volts over here. That's for the cranking and the electronics.
What trolling motor do you run?
I run the Garmin.
Okay, I got the same thing. I like it.
I love it. I love it.
Sweet.
So David asked, have you seen crappie react to, he's asking about an aluminum boat, but I know you fish out of a fiberglass, but have you seen them react to wave slapping the hull?
I think, I've seen them spook on everything. My dad has aluminum Ranger, and in the shallower water, I think that we've seen him react to his boat a lot more than we do my big boat, for sure. So much it's made him mad. He's going out and buying a fiberglass boat. He's had an aluminum Ranger for 5 years.
Yeah.
He sold it and he's getting a nitro now. And more so, the aluminum boats, just for fishing, they catch a lot more wind and push you off where you want to be more than a heavy fiberglass boat. So, yeah, 2 reasons why. But yeah, the smacking of it can spook them. But there's also days where it doesn't matter, right? There's days where you can throw a straight head out and catch a crappie. So
yeah,
every day.
I've seen times if you step too hard in your boat, it'll spook them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Or you throw the jig as soon as it hits the water, they're spooked.
Gone.
Yep.
Gone. Yeah.
It's amazing.
You let that jig hit the water too hard, man.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
it's crazy, isn't it? What do we do in the past?
I don't. But there's days where you can stand right over top of them and jump up and down, never move.
Yeah.
And then there's times they're 30 feet away and you cast a jig 10 feet above his head and he moves. And that's just every day is different, and every lake is different. I think every lake they act differently for sure.
I agree. But Kevin, I don't want to keep you too long, man. I know for a fact that you're as a fanatic as you're as crazy about this crappie fishing as we are, because
for sure,
man. It shows.
It shows. I can't wait to go. I want to go now.
I want to go now too.
Yeah, I want to go.
I'm going in the morning. I know that. I'll be on the lake in the morning.
Good. I got to work tomorrow, unfortunately. So yeah. I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And
thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you coming.
Yeah. Love crappie fishing. It's an amazing sport, and I mean we talked a lot about live scope just because it is crappie fishing now. But man, if you don't have live scope, don't not go crappie fishing because you don't have live scope. Still go.
Right.
You can still catch crappie for sure.
Yeah. And just so everybody know, Kevin has a YouTube channel.
I do.
So y'all be sure to go and check him out. Give him some support over there.
Yep.
And
appreciate that.
And he puts out what you've seen tonight. He put in those videos.
Yep.
You will learn a lot. And you will see him sling in a bunch of big old crappie.
Oh, yeah.
You will, and there will be a bunch of videos this winter from me down in Texas swinging in 2-pound crappie. I will make it my mission.
Right.
I will do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. We really do appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep. And thanks for having me.
Yeah.
The time just went by. I didn't think it was this late. We're right at 2 hours being on here.
That's awesome. That's a good drive right there.
It don't seem like it though.
No.
It's just we've talked about so much.
Yeah.
And the problem is I could talk for 3 more hours about crappie fishing.
Me too.
we always say the same thing. We get to that end of it and we're like, man, we could still go.
Right.
But everybody has to go to work in the morning, or
absolutely.
like me, I'm going fishing. So, exactly.
Absolutely. All right.
But man,
thank
Kevin,
you guys.
I really thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to do some giveaways. So if you want to go ahead and jump off, you feel free to do so.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That's awesome right there.
Yeah, it was good
man,
stuff.
let me tell you, that right there, it don't get no better.
Yeah.
It don't get no better.
Yeah.
We almost got to that 125. We jump up to 117, 118, 120.
Oh, okay, cool.
I just knew I was going to get that rod away today.
What was the goal? 125 for the rod?
No, 150.
Oh,
what's on it now?
114.
Okay, that's good.
114.
Yeah, appreciate everyone hanging out and
without a doubt.
Talking crappie fishing, man.
Yes, sir. I tell you what, he man, it's so much. And every video that I watch of his, I'll be like, man, it's just awesome that he has the same train of thinking as so many other great crappie fishermen that I've seen, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, we sat at the Crappie Expo talking for an hour just about one subject. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crappie fishing.
Yep. That's right.
And just
it's awesome.
Yep. Good stuff. Passion.
Oh, Dave say he seen 121. I seen 120.
Okay. Yeah, it's a passion, man.
Yeah. I'm just really glad that we got all the questions that we did into him so that he could. I mean, he did an awesome job of explaining everything that we brought up.
Yep, exactly.
But those of you that don't believe in live scope, I'm gonna tell you that
it's here to stay.
Man, it's here to stay, and all you got to do is fish with it one time, and you'll understand why it's so important in the crappie fishing world.
And I tell people, just save up every paycheck, just put a little away, and before you know it, you'll have You don't have to get a big screen. You can get a 9-inch and start there.
Yeah.
Yep. And just grow from there.
Catfish and crappie went live on the lake today. I seen him catch some crappie today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did catch a couple, didn't he?
Yeah. Old Red River Rob. Hey, everybody. Hey, I know I didn't shout out to everybody, but man, I appreciate you guys joining us. I know that, hey, this was an awesome live. This was the best I think we've ever had.
Yep. And it's going to get better and better.
Going to get better and better.
Yep.
Who we got
Look
coming?
out, Ronnie Caps.
Soon.
Ronnie Caps is coming next. So
yeah.
Yeah. And there's a big list coming. So
yeah. We got some big people.
Yep.
That's strong in the tournament industry and very knowledgeable.
Yeah. He's like a 7-8 time world champ.
Exactly.
Ronnie Caps.
Yep.
Just 8, that's all.
They've won over $1 million in crappie fishing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll never forget that tournament. I don't know if it was the first tournament since the live scope had been out, but he almost cursed that live scope.
Oh, yeah,
he was right there. Yeah. He was on stage and almost cursed live scope. But
he's getting it,
he's getting it.
Yeah, you have to.
But it's like Kevin said, man. It's all you have to do is learn that unit.
Yep.
Spend that time on the. Don't worry about fishing. I mean, you gonna need your rod to see your jig go down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did a video to where as I was talking about that forward range, knowing the range that you're capable of fishing.
Yep.
Very important. Knowing that cone because it's only a 20-degree cone.
Right.
That's right.
And knowing what's a fish and what's a little knob on that tree.
Knowing how to set it.
Yep. And that's what separates the best from the best.
And these young guys,
you don't even think it's a fish, and it actually is.
Yeah.
That's why he said Matthew Rogers, Eric Case, Frank Ottishag, all them guys, they grew up, they know.
Yeah. And they've had live scope longer than anybody.
Josh Jones, he's the first one to have it.
You have to put that time in to learn. It's not spending money, put it on, and it's going to help you. You got to learn how to use it. You got to make that unit do what you want it to do.
Exactly.
Awesome stuff. Bluegill.
Yes, sir.
When you going live scope?
He's got half of it.
Yeah.
About 2 more months.
Yeah, he's got half of it. All he needs the other half.
About 2 more months.
Yep. It's gonna change your whole world.
Oh yeah, it will.
I like the learning part the best.
So Dave asked the question of how hard is it to learn to use live scope. It's not hard at all. The hardest part is you putting in the effort to learn.
Right. Yep. Learn the basics and then grow from there.
Exactly. Yep.
YouTube, there's tons of videos that will teach you, and then just put that work to use.
Catfish and Crappie say he's going to Truman.
Yeah, I love Truman. I love Truman.
You might as well hit Kim up when you go up there. Y'all go
Lake of the Pines. Lake of the
let's
Pines.
do it.
In about a month, Lake of the Pines. Thanksgiving week, I think I'm going to spend 2 days at Lake of the Pines.
I'm off the whole week of Thanksgiving.
Oh, man, come to Lake of the Pines.
I might have to.
There's a lot of people off, and I'm getting booked up for that week.
Yeah.
So I'll be working.
How far is it?
It's fishing, but I'll be working.
It's in Jefferson, Texas. Look it up tonight, and then Jefferson, Texas.
Miss Bertha.
Hey, Bertha.
Without a doubt, Slapbuster, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yep.
I knew it would be information packed.
Right.
And like another important thing, whether you got live scope or not, is when you get out there and get on a pile, get on some structure, you don't have to be sitting out there with that rod beating the top of the water with your line. I mean, you can get that jig a little pop, raise it real big. That's so important, man. And it's something that I've known for years and what I like to say is I don't care how you work your jig, give it pauses. Because when you pause that jig, that's when that crappie is going to hit it.
Yep.
So it's,
fisherman, get out there with your shiners.
Yep.
2 or 3 poles out there.
Yeah, we ain't gonna encourage it. We want people to get that thump.
Hey, it's a thump too, but you got kids and all that involved too. So.
Yeah.
They better learn how to jig fish.
Yeah. But that's different. That's different when you got kids, but
yeah.
My cousin's 6 years old and he is a bad boy.
Yeah.
He figured it out quick.
Look at my 4-year-old grandson.
Yeah. It's encouragement. You gotta put that encouragement out there.
Yeah.
Hey, once you get a spot, let's say you get a spot out there, you gotta have. They go out there with shine and catch them first. Now you can go out there with jigs. Then spring with jigs.
Yep.
Oh, Dale, see, going Humminbird live.
Okay, yeah, they started selling them.
Yeah, I heard they made some big progress.
Yep. Yeah, if you go on this one forum, Patrick Stone released a video. It looked pretty good. I think it's on Humminbird Live, tips and tricks, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you can see them, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave, I've played with that bottom feel, and I'm, hey, yeah, I think you'll feel the same way about it once you mess with it.
Yeah, it looks kind of wavy. It keeps moving like a wave, you know. But there's probably a time and a place for it.
Without a doubt, I agree. It may be a certain type of bottom, a certain hardness, maybe, or softness.
I know open water fish, they go to the bottom a lot more.
A lot. Yep.
I think it's just spooked. They trying to hide, get scared.
Exactly. Yep.
And they feel, protected over there.
Without a doubt. Right. Murdoch say he getting a live scope for Christmas.
Yep. That's good stuff. Black Friday's coming up. Like your 9-inch screens, they'll be going on sale.
Yeah.
10-inch, you probably won't see them on sale, but your 9 inches will be on Black Friday specials.
Right.
Yeah.
You could probably pick them up $5.99. So
Camo Joe's asking, do you carry it at 943? I think he's talking about that.
Yeah, I carry all of them.
Suffix. You talking about Suffix? Suffix is the Suffix braid, I believe.
It's hard to get Suffix braid.
Yeah, I have the Mad braid, and I have some K9.
Camo, if you try that
Mad's pretty
Dyneema,
good.
that 9-strand Dyneema, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's all I got
smooth,
on my reels right now.
It's smooth.
It's a really good line.
So and I'm getting one of them Daiwa ballistic reels tomorrow. I paid $250 for a spinning reel. I ain't never done it before, but them tournament pros, casting,
that's a lot of money.
That's what they're using.
Yeah. So, super smooth makes a big difference.
I bought one just if I want to get better.
Yeah, I got an old Shimano that I used to even saltwater fish this reel, and that's what I've been using. It's pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Now I know it's nothing like that new reel that you're getting, but
I just want to try to get to the next level. Just trying to get a little better.
Panfish Nation is in the house. Say that he's an hour from Truman.
Oh, cool.
How far are you away from Truman, Kim?
Hour and 30 minutes.
Okay, shoot. You guys can meet up there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You and Panfish live by each other.
All you gotta do is give me the word. I'm on.
Yep.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, but we can do a get together at Lake of the Pines Thanksgiving week, like a Monday, Tuesday, or something.
I gotta work.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see what days I'm working. I don't have that full week filled, but.
Yeah, they shut down our whole district for the first time.
Oh, he's talking about a 943 SVG. Oh, a maps unit.
Oh, GPS map.
Yeah.
I sell them, Camo. Just let me know. Yeah, I sell every Garmin they have. So.
Yeah.
I'll be getting one from you.
Yeah.
I'll be getting it from you. Might give me a 20-inch screen. Put them out.
Yeah, a guy Falk. I think he has a 21-inch.
For real, cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bluegill, you got somebody shouting you out. Dark Horse over here. Say that.
What's up, Dark Horse?
Dark Horse, he going to live scope soon too.
Yeah.
It's just what's coming, man. Y'all gonna have to get the program. It's here to stay.
Yeah, I do it. I like catching without live scope at the same time, But it's fun. I just like crappie fishing,
Lyle say y'all can make it work, Kim.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, just like Slabbuster say, you only live once. You might as well go and get it.
Yep.
And enjoy what everybody else is enjoying.
Yep.
Yes, Slabbuster, Ronnie Caps. We talked to him at the expo. He already said he'd come on. So, Catfish, Mark say he's going to go back and watch this again.
Oh, yeah.
Caps and Coleman, best they is.
Yep.
That's right.
They were on the bottom here lately. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. It's already, I got to get up at 4:30.
Yeah. I'm going to get up at 3.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
My rest,
It's my Friday tomorrow.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm going to do a give. I got 3 weeks worth of giveaways that I got to mail out. You know what? I don't even have my other screen plugged in. I'm gonna do that real quick. I'm gonna do a giveaway.
Yeah, I got 6. Same
We
thing.
still got 112 people in. So
Oh man.
yeah, want that information?
Yep.
I'm giving away the Halloween jig.
Yeah, I seen you post that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or well, it might have been Facebook. I seen that on.
It was both.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that
Crappie
box
day
of slabs. That was a guy that bought some tying equipment. First time hand tying. Got a cooler full of slabs.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
Yeah.
That was a sweet pick he took too.
Yeah. It's one of the stickers I gave him. So he was like, "Oh man, first time he ever tied a jig and caught him on it."
Oh, for real.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nothing like that.
No, that's what you call a good day.
Yeah, and it just gets better and better.
Crappie Day say he was hypnotized by Kevin. He can't say that before now. Yeah, he say he used that suffix.
Yeah, 832.
Yeah.
I use the Y6, but they don't make it no more.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find it since COVID. It's a orange braid. It's 20 pound, 6 pound equivalent.
Man, I went to go buy some PVC tubes to mail a 13-foot Kevin Rogers, and them things went up like 40%. PVC pipe.
Wow.
Everything's going
I'm like,
up.
man.
Everything's going up.
Yeah, it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
That's right.
Yep, it's coming. We're gonna be spending $5 for a loaf of bread.
I like his comment about the jig heads and heavy brush. Them steel heads, they don't give. You lose.
They
them.
don't. Yep.
No, that's the only thing.
Yep.
But you want to know something? It's all in how you jig. You have to learn to. You can't just drop that jig down there free falling into a brush pile.
Right.
So when you're fishing this stuff, you got to ease that jig down. You got to feel your way through it. Even with the regular J hook, even with the sickle hook. Because you go to just dropping that jig down there, just let it free fall.
I usually just fish the top of it now.
Yeah.
I used to go deep in brush pile.
I go in.
Fish will come out of it.
Yeah.
Them fish will come out of that brush pile. You're gonna see them.
Yeah, but some days you gotta go in
left
there,
or right side.
Yeah.
But if it happens to grab it, good luck getting it back.
Yeah. Better hold attention to it. There's no way you're gonna get him out of there if he owns it.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm for sure going to the PO. I got 4 envelopes over there I gotta mail out. I'm gonna do a giveaway on a bait that you guys seen work on my last video. I really don't want to because these things here, and I've given them away before. They just some awesome must-haves in your box, if you ask me.
All right.
These are Limits Tackle 1 3/4 inch straight shorts. Stinger tail. And when you guys get these, you need to get with Steve and get the number 2 sickle, 1/8 ounce, and tell him that you want the wire keeper.
Yeah.
Get you a pack of those.
Head, pill head.
It's like a pill head. And I'm gonna tell you, it works very well. But we're gonna do a giveaway on these right here. Let me get this thing started up.
Was that chartreuse?
Straight short.
Yeah.
That nuclear short.
Yeah.
That nuclear short. I can't believe I'm giving these away, but I am.
I just packed up. I gave 3 giveaways yesterday, and I just packed up. Each of them got Tad Fry chartreuse and 175 Stinger chartreuse. Yeah, it's a hot color.
Awesome. Yeah, that was an awesome giveaway you did.
And then a little 1.5 inch split tail in a chartreuse. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So let me get down here to the.
Yeah, I can't wait for that Tad Fry with the split tail. Oh man,
that's gonna be a killer. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You say you off tomorrow, Steve?
No, tomorrow's my Friday. I'm going to go fishing Saturday. Friday the wind, so I'm gonna get my boat wrapped. So I'm gonna go to a wrap place on Friday.
Okay.
Have them look at my boat, measure everything out. I'm hoping to have my boat wrapped in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Get all my logos on there, and I was thinking about buying a new one, but I'm gonna hold off. There's nothing wrong with mine. I'm even thinking about getting that Gorilla hull. They'll spray your whole hull so it can't get damaged.
Yeah.
I don't know what that costs. Probably a couple grand.
All right, guys, to be entered into this giveaway for the straight short, in a comment, type hashtag crappie just as you see it on the screen, all lower caps. Hashtag crappie.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I have to wake up real early.
All right, Steve, man, we
All right.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you guys take care. Great show tonight.
Appreciate it, man.
We'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, take care, guys.
All right, later.
Come on.
And what I'm gonna do, I may give you guys, whoever wins this, I'm gonna put one single hook, and it's gonna be unpainted. I'll look and see if I have a chartreuse painted head, and I'll let you have one. But you're gonna have to hit Steve up there, because I'm gonna tell you that number 2 sickle 1/8 works perfect with this bait.
That's right.
But I'm only gonna give away one because I'm running short. All right, we'll let that run a couple more seconds, and we're gonna draw. If you're just coming in, type in your comment hashtag crappie to be entered into this giveaway. All right, here we go. Get ready to draw. Uh-oh, somebody else just. I'll go a couple more seconds. We got people still adding it in. So, all right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, wrong screen. I don't know what I did with my pad.
I better find mine too.
Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson. Congratulations. And if you would, send me an email with your mailing address, skscrappiecatchingadventures. Don't forget the S behind the K. skscrappiecatchingadventures@gmail.com. And if you can do this in the morning, by in the morning, they will be in the mail tomorrow. And it's like I said, the past 3 weeks I hadn't been to the post office. I've just been on the go, and I will definitely get there tomorrow and get these packages out. And by the way, guys, I did a live on the lake Saturday, and Stephanie won the jigs on that. I had a giveaway on that, guessing my big fish that I showed.
A 1 pound fish?
Yeah. That sounds like you tried to contest me. We can do a tournament whenever you're ready.
Do it in the morning.
Come on. We're going live tomorrow, y'all. We're going live tomorrow. Me and Bluegill.
I'm gonna look at the board tomorrow. I'm gonna see.
Uh-oh. There we go with some excuses now.
Hey, man. I can't be getting caught up to cut the tournament short, but like, hey, man, I'm over with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the board. I might better go tomorrow. I gotta look at it and see.
All right, Kim, you want to do a close up? Let me go back to this other screen. Show them that jig that they gon'. That's a good looking jig too.
It's a Halloween. It's orange and black.
Is that what the head is? But what color's the head?
Well, black with orange flake in it.
Oh, okay.
That's
so cool. It look gold, like it's kind of goldish.
No, it's
orange. Look transparent. Look clear.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it that way, but it's orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool right there.
Okay, so you're just doing one giveaway?
I'm doing 2 to 3 people, 3 to 2 people.
Ooh. Okay.
Each person gets 3 jigs.
Okay.
2 people get 3 jigs.
All right, let me share the screen again.
Since Halloween's coming up, thought I'd do something.
Sweet.
Give me some of your jigs.
All right, guys. So those of you that have entered already, I think that you should be already in this. But
that's right.
Yeah, Camo Joe, I agree. It do look kind of copper. All right, here we go. Two winners for three custom hand ties. And those of you that don't check Steve out on his lives on Facebook, I'm gonna tell you that guy does a lot of giveaways on
Coosy Robinson.
Coosy Robinson, congratulations. As well as Kim. Kim goes live on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. And y'all be sure to check out old LBG crop excursion. I don't know what he's waiting on. I know he got some footage over there from a past few trips, but he hadn't put them together yet.
He's gonna make us wait.
That's what it seems like, huh?
Yeah, he's gonna make us wait.
Steve or me?
You. All right, guys. If you haven't already,
I'm trying to wait to 2022 to put them out.
There you go.
I'm like AMC.
It ain't too much further away. We ain't got up a couple months.
Yeah.
A new release.
Yeah.
Movie theaters are closed.
Any of you that have not put in hashtag crappie, be sure to do so, because here we go with another draw. The second package of custom hand ties. Here we go. You check your schedule yet? Fishing by the numbers. Congratulations. And you guys,
y'all see he want me to come get him.
Come on, Cletus. Come on.
Come on. You limp. You walk over, but you limp back.
There you go. You guys that want the custom hand ties, hit Kim up at kbarnett1967@yahoo.com. Send him your mailing address, or you can hit him up on Facebook. That's what you prefer, is Facebook, right, or email?
They've been emailing either way: Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, email.
Okay. Well, that's the email right there. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
kbarnett1967@yahoo.com.
So y'all, this gonna be the thing with me and SK tomorrow. this gonna be a little scenario. If I get a chance to go, and I actually beat him, which didn't happen before. Now y'all might not get it on film.
Without a doubt.
Y'all that.
Without a doubt.
He would be
actually. Not to cut you off, but I got pictures of your win on a Lake Houston tournament, a pay tournament. I got you were the only person that weighed in 7 fish that day. Hey. So you have beat me.
I'm talking about me.
I'm not unbeatable.
Hey, I'm talking about me and your private tournament with me and you without private tournaments. Just me and you.
I don't remember you beat me on Neil.
Ooh,
I remember when
somebody got all times.
I remember when I weighed 6 fish and you thought you won.
Hey,
that's on video.
Late stages, huh?
Hey, that was 20 years ago. That was early stages. That's early stages. We're gonna put this on film. He will, when I beat him, the next time he go out, not on your guide trips, on the video, you will have a yellow outlaw pole in your hand.
No, I can't fish with you like that.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I won't be able to fish for about an hour. I'll only be able to fish for about an hour.
You will fish for 12 hours. If the weather was making soon, you will fish for 12 hours.
Hey, my arms will be this big.
Hey.
Look at this. See, that's what I'm talking
about. Rocks.
Yeah. Get you some, man.
No, we'll just do a friendly tournament. How about that?
That is
friendly. Hey, and we could be on the same boat. You act like you want fishing. Look, Kim.
Kim, he trying to get me now. We just talked about the line scope with 2 people in front of the boat on line scope.
You had a main side. I give you the main side every time.
I'm gonna be back in the back of the boat, Kim.
No.
You don't have line scope's a one-man show. He'll lock you out.
Hey, look, I always give him the right side of my boat, and that's where the cone is.
He does. Well, when I told him he got to fish with that yellow pole, I would have the other side of the boat.
No, I can't do the yellow pole, bro.
He can give you the right and turn it to the left.
I'll be doing this number here. Trying to catch fish.
Golly. Camo Joe. Camo Joe, I seen your message that you put up talking about I was going to get that rod away, man. You should have told a couple more of your buddies to come on. It would have been, it's sitting right here. It's right there. It's ready.
Might start giving some of mine away. I got 400 of them.
But me and Bluegill went fishing Monday, right? I done told us, man, you could jump on the boat with me. Don't you know that he on the slick, he thought he was slick. But, oh, yeah, man, I'm going to get loaded up. I'm going to go get loaded up and head on out to the lake. I was like, okay, well, that tells me that he don't want to fish with me.
No, I just got off work. I did 12 hours.
I know that.
I know. I'm taking.
But I told you could jump in the boat with me.
I went to Louisiana for 2 days.
Yep.
Didn't get no rest.
Yep.
Come back. As soon as I pulled in the driveway, they called me to go to work. I went to work at 6 o'clock that evening. Got out at 6 that morning.
Yep.
Maybe later.
Yep.
Lay down for maybe an hour. Got up and said, man, you know where I'm going. Get to the lake by 1 o'clock.
Yep.
I didn't catch that many fish, but I enjoyed it.
But you still could have been on the boat with me.
He was late, y'all.
I was
trying to fish.
It was what, 2:30 when I got there? 2:30, 3 o'clock?
And I had to go to work the next day.
He got plenty of sleep and you didn't.
Hey, there you go. There you go. There you go. But now I got on the boat with you. I ain't got no problem. We could do that too. I tell you what, I can get on the boat with you and we can film it.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's hilarious.
But we're gonna do a tournament thing. 5 hours in your spot. 5 hours the first 5. We'll flip a coin. You do the first 5, depending on how it is, or the first 3 hours, your spots. Yeah. The next one's on mine.
Okay. I gotta give a shout. I gotta give a shout out first. I gotta give a shout out first because we added 2 more. I didn't tell you, but we added 2 more moderators, and I want to thank all of y'all for helping keep the comments live, the comments clean. We added Big Les Thomas, and we added Slick.
Slick, yeah.
And Super Dave, y'all already know about Super Dave, and y'all already know about LBG. Man, I want to say thank y'all to all of y'all, man, because without y'all, I'm quite sure that this show wouldn't happen because I'd be so upset with some of the craziness that y'all block out dealing with it. So I want to thank all of y'all for helping make this happen.
Oh yeah.
Really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. But hey,
we gonna have a yellow pole. He gonna have a yellow pole in his hand, y'all.
I catch one fish with it.
Negative.
Don't actually drop in the water either.
Yeah.
Y'all heard?
Hey, I'm gonna be out there with 2 hands holding that pole.
He breaking up. Y'all heard him? He must be losing internet connection.
I ain't losing no internet connection.
Breaking up.
He's breaking up, y'all. Houston, I think we got a problem.
All right, y'all. We push it 2.5 hours. Let's get off this thing. I think we've had an awesome live. Man, we've talked about so much. Man, we've covered from the rooter to the tutor in crappie fishing with one of the greatest. Kevin Rogers, man, I'm going to tell you, I've watched this dude, his hook set, and I'm going to tell you that you can go and look back at some of my first videos. And when I start telling people, hey, that little wrist action that people been telling you that you need to do because them fish paper mouths, and I hope Squiddo's still on here because he questioned me about this today. You better yank, you better make that pole sing and yank into that fish, put that barb, that hook in the bony roof of that mouth.
You brain hook them.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Hey, that's how you do it.
That's a kill shot, Ken.
Yeah, you brain hook
a kill shot.
It's over.
And it's just so much that.
And they hard to get out.
Am I breaking up for real?
No. Nah, man, because you breaking up because you didn't want to use that.
Big last time he buffering.
You get in that thick part, they're hard to get out.
Oh yeah.
Danny Server, I got 4 yellow poles, 4 12-foot outlaws.
Tell them what you got coming.
Oh, that's what you fish, outlaws? I couldn't figure out what those were.
They outlaw poles.
I used to fish outlaw years
I got 2 Denalis coming. I don't mind telling people what I fish with.
What you got coming?
I got 2 outlaw poles coming.
You got 2 what?
Outlaw. But guess what?
Wait a minute. That ain't what you got coming.
See how good I'm stuck on my outlaw pole? I ordered 2 Denalis. He got 2 Denalis. 12 foot. They 10 foot, I'm shipping them back. If they 11 foot, I'm shipping them back.
Nah, they 12.
Be 12. Okay.
They 12.
There you go. I don't mind. But hey, y'all will see him with a yellow 12-foot outlaw pole in his hand when I whoop him tomorrow.
Look at Camo Joe talking.
Hey, when I whoop him tomorrow, when I say I whoop him, I might get him a shirt made and put outlaw on the front of it.
Oh boy.
Hey,
Camo Joe, it's just that y'all get to see more of my hook sets. I'm gonna tell you, Kevin got. Hey, if you listen to that pole when he set that hook, it's the same. I mean, he yanking. He yanking into them fish. All right, Tammy S. We appreciate everybody being with us tonight.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Is awesome. Get out there and enjoy. It take work when you get out there. You're not gonna be able to go out if you haven't been in the crappie fish. You're not gonna be able to just go out there and automatically be on these fish. You're gonna have to put the work in. You're gonna have to put some time in. But once you get good at this thing, I promise you, you will be addicted.
Yep.
Yes, you will.
Man, it won't take long. Believe me.
That's right.
It won't take long.
It ain't gonna take long.
That's first day.
I knew it was gonna be an awesome show, man. I knew it was gonna be awesome. LBG, Kim, Steve already gone. Kevin already gone. Thank all y'all.
Yeah.
Man, it was awesome. Yes, sir. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
We'll holler.
I'll text you in the morning.
Okay.
Let you know something.
Okay. All right, let's end this thing.
All right.
Go.
All right.
We'll be back. What?
Same time. Something. What you said? I can't remember.
We'll be back next week. Same time.
Same flavor.
Same flavor.
Yeah.
Same flavor.
Peace out, y'all.
All right.
Peace out. All right. Later.
Later.